Winnipeg Stadium in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. It's CFL football. The Birmingham Barracudas take on the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Good evening. I'm Ken Lass, sports director at Alabama's 13. I'll be doing the play-by-play for you tonight. With me is Danny Kepley, 6 times a Grey Cup champion and a veteran CFL TV analyst. Birmingham, a brand new team, Danny. A curious mixture of rookies and veterans. How does this team look to you on paper?
On paper, it looks like a great team. They've got a lot of individual talent, but what's going to be very important right now, Ken, can all these individuals come together both offensively, defensively, and special teams and play as a 37-man team?
Always a big question mark. We touched upon the quarterback situation. You talked with Matt Dunigan just moments ago. What's he telling you?
Matt tells me right now he's not going to play. The fact of the matter is he thinks that the hand is very close to being able to allow him to do the things that he wants to do. But Matt is such a competitor. You know, once he's going to take it, if it just constituted throwing the football, he would get that done. Matt's going to tuck it down. He's going to try to run over people, pick up a first down, make a lot of things happen. So for Matt Dunigan to be able to play Matt Dunigan kind of football, it may be best for him to wait a week.
Yeah, he's got to be 100%. Now, if Matt does not play, you got Reggie Slack, you got Jimmy Klingler. We were told just a few minutes ago that Coach Pardee may turn to the rookie Jimmy Klingler, who's never played a regular season CFL game. What a test this will be for the season opener here in Winnipeg.
It's a big test coming into Winnipeg anyway to play against a tenacious defense that they have historically had. But coupled by the fact is they coming off a loss to Ottawa last week, 25-15. This is a team that's swarming right now. Okay. Coach Kyle Murphy has had them going. He's rattled the cages.
He's been on the warpath.
And they have absolutely been taking names about the week. So he's got this ball club ready to play. But the fact of the matter, too, if they start Klingler in this situation, what a great guy to have in the bullpen warming up in Reggie Slack.
Right, the former Auburn Tiger. And Coach Pardee told us earlier today that there will be what he called a quick hook if one or the other quarterback is not getting it done. The Barracudas are not in a situation where they can afford to have 2 downs and out. And in the CFL, it is 2 downs and out. You don't get that 3rd down possession play in this.
Not at all. It's very important for that offense to go out there and be able to maintain some sustained drives, some possession drives, make some first downs, keep the defense off the sideline for a while, and get some positive reinforcement back on what they're doing.
Barracudas trying to bounce off a 37-0 loss in their exhibition game last week down at the Orange Bowl against the Baltimore CFL club. But the coaching staff, by their own admission, holding back on the playing selection, calling less than a dozen plays in that game. Offensive coordinator John Jenkins says he intends to open it up a little bit.
Well, I think he has to in this case, but you only have 2 exhibition games in the CFL to make some very significant decisions on your team and on the people that are going to play on that team. So now it's an opportunity. They've made their decisions. Now they have their team together. Go out there and do whatever it takes to win.
We're just moments away from the kickoff. Stay with us for the Barracudas and the Blue Bombers coming right up.
10 yards long. 3 downs make a first, not 4. 12 players on the field, up to 5 men in motion. Legion Field in Birmingham will now host a professional sport that can be described in 3 words: longer, wider, faster. The Birmingham Barracudas. Home opener July 15th, 7 p.m. Ticket information 5584 CFL.
Welcome back to Winnipeg Stadium. Winnipeg has the football, 2nd down and 7 on the Birmingham 45-yard line. Sammy Garza, the quarterback, throws intended for Gerald Alvin. Could not find the handle at the 25-yard line. The kickoff was to the Barracudas, but there was a fumble on the kickoff. The ball was batted out of bounds last touch by a member of Winnipeg, and in the CFL, possession goes to the team that touches it last. But Winnipeg 2 downs and out, and they will come in here with what appears to be a quick punt, and it looks like the Barracudas will get the ball back. So, Dan, no harm done on what could have been a disastrous start for the Barracudas.
Not at all, but and to a very positive note, that Barracuda defense came out there, shut down Winnipeg in 2 plays, forcing them to punt, and not even allowing them to get in field goal position.
Bob Cameron is the Winnipeg punter. He punts the ball deep. That is Andrew Drawhorn, who takes it on the 5. And Drawhorn has some running room to the far sideline. Anthony Drawhorn out of bounds at about the Birmingham 21 or 22-yard line. And now let's keep an eye on who comes out at quarterback for the Barracudas. It will be either Reggie Slack or Jimmy Klingler. And it's going to be the rookie, Jimmy Klingler, younger brother of David Klingler. who plays for the Cincinnati Bengals. Jimmy has never played in a regular season CFL game before. That's the guy that is not starting tonight, Matt Dunigan, the Barracudas franchise player. And don't you know, he wishes he could play against the team he starred for the last 3 years. 1st and 10. And that pass is intercepted, incomplete, ruled incomplete. It was Gerald Sampson who tried to pick the ball up off the artificial carpet here at Winnipeg Stadium. And again, flirting with disaster early in this ball game, Danny.
The one thing that you want to do as an offense is obviously not beat yourself. And the way that you don't beat yourself is not turn the ball over. But in this case, they have 4 receivers to the wide side. He's working one-on-one to the backside. They get a drag pattern across, and David just makes a poorly thrown ball, and he was very lucky that it wasn't intercepted.
2nd and 10. Again, this is a possession down, and Klingler tries to dump it off to Willie McClendon out of the backfield, and McClendon not ready for the pass, and the Barracudas will have to punt it away from fairly deep in their own territory.
Good look at Matt Dunigan on the sideline. I'd just like to have a little meat on how bad and how quickly his heart is pumping, because knowing him personally as the competitor that he is, he certainly wants to be out there on the football field.
That is Scott Blair, who is the Barracudas punter, averaged 39 yards per kick in the preseason game. The return guys, Alan Boyko, Ken Duras, and Darius Watson for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And a penalty marker is down. The punt is in the air and out of bounds right around the 50-yard line. And keep in mind, the 50-yard line is not midfield in the CFL. It's the 55. We have 2 flags down right now.
I can hear it.
This player works his way toward the sideline. Penalty is indicated against Winnipeg. Penalties has been something that Coach Jack Pardee has had problems with. Barracudas had 17 penalties in their first game.
Winnipeg, 10-yard penalty, 1st down.
So a break there, as for once the penalty bugaboo works in favor of the Barracudas.
And that's something that at a veteran team like Winnipeg should not have happened on a punt return, having too many men out there. But to the credit for the Birmingham team, it is a positive note. It keeps that drive alive and certainly keeps David Klingler back in the game after 2 very poorly called plays that hopefully to help build up some confidence for himself.
So the University of Houston star gets another shot, and this time he'll work out of the shotgun on 1st and 10. Now he walks up to center. And a whistle stops play. We may have delay of game. 20-second time clock in the CFL, and that's something that some of these American college guys that aren't used to the Canadian game really have to get accustomed to.
Well, they certainly do, but through training camp, through exhibition season, you know, you're supposed to take some snaps, and that kind of thing is something that you're supposed to get accustomed to very quickly. And you can just assure yourself that David Klingler is out there and very nervous at this point in time, and hopefully it is going to take him a series or 2, and he will be able to calm himself down.
It is 1st and 15 for the CFL team. He's throwing, and it is batted up and knocked down by Ken Burris, the cornerback. Intended for McClendon over the middle, and Jack Pardee has said that he will have a quick hook in this game if his quarterbacks are not moving the football. And that pass was not on target.
Very poorly thrown ball. In his defense, to some extent, there is a tremendous amount of wind in Winnipeg Stadium. These players from Birmingham have not had an opportunity last night, getting in very, very late, to come to the field until about 4:30 this afternoon to get an idea of what it was all about. So it will take him a little chance to just understand the environment and the elements that are taking place on this stadium. And hopefully he's made 2 or 3 very poorly thrown footballs. But to his credit, he has come back, and neither one of them have been intercepted, so it still has been a very positive thing for him.
That wind is blowing very strongly from left to right as you look at your TV screen. This is a 2nd and 15 play. They try the draw to McClendon, and it's going nowhere. Obviously, Winnipeg was waiting on that one. So a punting situation, as we'll have a 3rd and about 12 yards to go for the Barracudas. Some of the crowd here at Winnipeg Stadium, they were expecting a crowd of about 25,000. I'd say they've hit at least that here on this 4th of July evening, which is not a national holiday in Canada, but it is the day after their big Canada Day weekend. Canada Day is the 1st of July in these parts. Player goes back to punt, standing on about his own 14. Got some pressure. kick is away, and a flag is down back at the point where the ball was kicked, and a favorable Barracuda bounce. Running it out of bounds is Alan Boyko, but we have a flag back at the point where the ball was kicked, and we may have a roughing the kicker call.
Acting the kicker, number 22, Winnipeg. It'll be third down, repeated, Birmingham.
Called on Kenny Burris, and let's take another look.
Kenny Burris comes in from the left side wide open, tries to get at that point of block, but does not get a good angle at it, goes right into play or the punter, and they get the roughing the kicker. It's only a 10-yard penalty. It'll still make it third and about 2 yards.
You don't suppose Coach Pardee would roll the dice in a situation like this early in the game?
Well, I would suggest that had he seen maybe a little more favorable offensive movement in the first 2 series of plays, maybe he would think so. But right now, he knows that his quarterback's a little shaken. He may just decline the penalty at all, take the ball back where it initially was kicked, and which was backed up and got a really good bounce for Birmingham and backed up Winnipeg way back in their end.
And that's what he's going to do. They're going to give possession to Winnipeg and go ahead and take the punt. Winnipeg will have the ball when we come back. This is Barracudas football. Flips it out here in the flat to Eric Mitchell, dragged down after a short gain on the play by the Barracudas' Eddie Davis out of that secondary. Winnipeg led by Sammy Garza, under a bit of a pressure situation here in Manitoba. He is a guy that did not have an especially good outing last week against Ottawa. A lot of people think the backup quarterback, Terry Dean, the former Florida Gator, should be starting for this team.
As numbers go, it was pretty impressive. 26 for 55, 313 yards, but he had 3 interceptions that were very costly.
2nd and 3, and Eric Mitchell diving for the first down and appears to have it up over the 25-yard line. Looks like Winnipeg will get another set. Anthony Drawhorn on the tackle for the Cudas. First down coming up for Winnipeg. The Blue Bombers, traditionally one of the strong teams in this league, and apparently with another good team this year.
Good look right there at number 66. That's Miles Gurrell, and he is one of the bookends. 6'8", 330 pounds, been in the league for 18 years. This is a very veteran offensive line, and they will do an excellent job of protecting Sammy Garza.
Garza flips it out here in the flat to Johnstone. Chris Johnstone is tackled in his tracks beautifully by Eddie Davis. And that is what the Barracudas were looking for defensively. They have a lot of speed, and the coaching staff feels like they can run with these Blue Bomber receivers.
Having a chance to talk with Greg Newhouse right before the game, and he said, we're going to stay fairly vanilla on our defense. We don't have to do anything as far as give up some big plays. Sit back, let these guys read with their eyes, react to what they read to, and then react to it, get up there, make a big play. And that's exactly what Eddie Davis just did. 2nd down and 9 from the 26. This is a possession down. Garza with a lot of time, intercepted. And that is going to be Andre Strode for the Birmingham touchdown. Well, telegram on that pass, and Andre Strode read it all the way, and the Barracudas have a big play early in the game, which is exactly what the coaching staff would have ordered. This is what you go out there as a defensive team, and you have the philosophy, if our offense is sputtering, let's get the ball back to him. This time, Sammy Garza, as you say, he's telegraphing everything. He's looking exactly where he wants to throw the ball. He lobs it out there, and all of a sudden, Andre Strode makes a great break on the ball, sure catch, looks the ball in first, makes the grab, and then gets it in for the major.
One of the things that Ottawa did early in the game last week against Winnipeg was get a couple of big plays early in the game. That's exactly what Birmingham wanted to accomplish tonight. Attempting the extra point will be Franco Grilla. Reggie Slack will be holding. And with 9:20 to play in this ball game in the first quarter, Birmingham has drawn first blood on a big defensive play by Andre Strode. Kick is good. Timeout on the field, and the Barracudas have the lead by a score of 7-0. And Danny Kepley, now the pressure, I guess, shifts over to Winnipeg because they're in front of a home crowd after being embarrassed last week. And this is a team that does not want to get shocked 2 weeks in a row.
Kenny, you remember you mentioned about that big hook that Coach Pardee had on the other side. I think Cal Murphy may be reaching on the other side to borrow that hook just for a while. And just in case that his quarterback, Sammy Garza, can't get the job done.
We'll be back. It's 7-0 Barracudas.
field is 110 yards long. 3 downs make a first, not 4. 12 players on the field, up to 5 men in motion. Legion Field in Birmingham will now host a professional sport that can be described in 3 words: longer, wider, faster. The Birmingham Barracudas. Home opener July 15th, 7 p.m. Ticket information 5584 CFL.
Welcome back to Winnipeg. Franco Grilla kicks the football off to Darius Watson, and Watson with a return up the middle to about the Winnipeg 43 and a penalty marker down at the point of the tackle. And it would appear we're going to get a walk-off against Birmingham. Here comes the call.
Major foul, unnecessary roughness. Birmingham, number 21. 15-yard penalty, first down, Winnipeg.
Ken, that's Will Gilmore, was called for unnecessary roughness.
Well, we've already had a roughing the kicker and an unnecessary roughness. I guess the gloves are off for this game when the regulars
Pretty well much. You may not win this game, or you may, once you're in there, you got to win the fight. And I think what they got to do as a young team, you're the new kid on the block. You've got to establish yourself. You can't be pushed around. And Birmingham's not going to take any of this. They're going to get in there and slug it out with them.
First and 10, they throw it out to Gerald Wilcox, and the ball slapped away by Eddie Davis, and Davis apparently is going to get a pass interference call. That was one of those bang-bang plays, and Gerald Wilcox, number 87 for Winnipeg, is a guy whose number we figure to call a lot. He's the key receiver on this team.
You saw a quick sideline shot there when Wilcox was running back on the field. Gave a little headbutt to Matt Dunigan. Both of them butted. He caught a lot of Matt Dunigan passes last year.
Deliberate forward pass interference. Birmingham, number 25, applied a 10-yard penalty. It's first down, Winnipeg.
Moves the ball to the Barracuda 43-yard line.
Garza's not a very mobile quarterback, and he hangs the ball out there. You can see it's wobbling quite a bit. I don't personally see the pass interference call unless there was some contact prior to the break. And as soon as Wilcox made the break, maybe there was some contact made there. But when Eddie Davis made the move toward the ball, I didn't see it.
They go to Eric Mitchell off the running game, and he's dragged down from behind. Fine defensive play by Shante Peoples. Shante picked up off that Las Vegas Posse roster when that team was disbanded, and immediately becoming a stalwart in that defensive alignment.
He comes in, he brings it in. 6'2", 250 pounds out of Michigan. 14 sacks last year in 1994 for the Las Vegas Posse.
Gain of just a yard, 2nd and 9 from the Birmingham 42. He's looking for Gerald Alphen just over his outstretched fingertips. Alphen appeared to have Fernando Thomas beaten down here on the near sideline. That was close.
Some of that offensive terminology for Sammy Garza is going to sprint out to the right side, stop, throw back. It's a post corner to Gerald Alphen, and the ball is just past his outstretched arm.
Alphen and Wilcox form a very formidable slot-back tandem for this Winnipeg team. But that brings up a 3rd down and 9, and Cameron is back again to punt for the Blue Bombers. Drawhorn and Del Morris are the deep men for the Cudas. 7-0 Birmingham. We've got 7:44 to play in the first period. Kick is taken by Del Morris. Stopped in his tracks in the vicinity of the 14-yard line. So once again, young Jimmy Klingler will start from deep in his own territory as Birmingham tries to move the football. K.D. Williams on that tackle for the Blue Bombers. After this game, Birmingham stays up here north of the border, and they will play Hamilton in Hamilton on Saturday. So just a 3-day rest between games. That'll be a big test for a young football team like this.
Well, it really will, and it's very key that they get through this game and try to mesh themselves together and find some cohesiveness to bring themselves together and focus. And a point, if they can get out of this game, and what they like is a win, obviously. That's why they're out there playing. They didn't come here just to show up. They'd like to win this game and hopefully not get anybody seriously injured, because you've got to play very quickly in a couple of days.
And Hamilton with a fine team. And then 1 week from Saturday on July 15th, it's the home opener for the Barracudas. Legion Hamilton team comes to Birmingham to play on the beautiful new natural grass there. That is the first of 3 consecutive Saturday night home games for the Barracudas. On the 22nd, they'll play Saskatchewan, and then on July 29th, also a Saturday night, they'll play that Baltimore CFL club. And what a show they put on against Birmingham last week.
They played a great game, and then they had another great game against the defending Grey Cup champions, the BC Lions. And speaking about Hamilton coming to town, an old boy's coming home back there, Dieter Brock.
That's right, former UAB offensive coach, and Dieter brought several UAB players up there to try out for the team.
He's the offensive coordinator in Hamilton. I had an opportunity during my playing career to play against Dieter when he was here in Winnipeg and also at Hamilton, and was one of the greatest quarterbacks inducted into the Hall of Fame.
There you see the 3 home games coming up. July 15th, the home opener against Hamilton, Saskatchewan in on the 22nd, and then that nicknameless Baltimore CFL club comes in on July 29th. Grey Cup finalists in their expansion year last year. First and 10, Barracudas, ball nosing up to their own 15-yard line. That is Jason Phillips with blockers in front and still going. Jason Phillips at the 25. Touchdown, Birmingham Barracudas. What blocking in front of him by Jason Phillips. And Birmingham has absolutely shocked the favored Winnipeg Blue Bombers tonight. That's a 70, 80-yard pass play down the far sideline. Wow.
Great effort. Now it's just a sprint throwback. It's a hitch screen, the key block. Right there, number 55, Thomas Ram, makes the block. And then this young receiver does everything on his own. Jason Phillips just absolutely waits a little bit, picks up his blockers, stutter steps, is able to outrun number 38. That's Greg Clark, and then he keeps waiting on his blockers, gets the ball into the end zone. Just a great offensive play by the Birmingham Barracudas.
Nicknamed Baby J because he's only 5 foot 8 inches tall, but he ran like a giant on that play. The extra point by Franco Grilla is up and good, and the Birmingham Barracudas have exploded out to a 14-0 lead with 6:46 left to play in the first period. And Jason Phillips, with just a convoy of blocking in front of him, breaks it down the far sidelines. And you got to figure Winnipeg is playing back on their heels a little bit at this point.
Absolutely, and this Winnipeg defense is walking off to just a stadium full of boos, and this is a defense that is not used to hearing that out of this home park. They have been the mainstay part of this whole game as far as the Winnipeg Football Club is considered, and now the defense has given up 2 big plays, and then all of a sudden, the Birmingham defense has come up with a big interception and a return for a touchdown. And this is exactly what this young franchise needed.
And you see Sammy Garza right there. He has not been effective under center for the Blue Bombers. And as we mentioned earlier, a lot of media pressure in this town to bring in Terry Dean, a guy who would be well known by football fans in the state of Alabama. Terry Dean, the starting quarterback for many games for Steve Spurrier down at the University of Florida. And a lot of folks up here in the province of Manitoba think that Terry Dean should be getting a shot at quarterback for Winnipeg, and he may if this continues. You can see the wind knocking the football off the tee, and now Franco Grilla will kick it off with Eddie Davis holding for him. That kickoff is going to go out of bounds, but touched before it went out by Greg Clark. And that will mean Winnipeg will take possession on their own 25-yard line. So reasonably good field position. And Cal Murphy on the Winnipeg sideline, not a happy camper.
Well, you can see the disgust on his face. At the point, just a bad decision by Clark as far as going after that ball. Had he not touched it, the ball would have been out of bounds. They would have backed it up 5 yards, and Grilla would have had to kick it over again. But as he touched it, it's created as a possession. So therefore, Winnipeg has to scrimmage the ball where it went out of bounds.
Sammy Garza on 1st and 10, Winnipeg's own 25. Eric Mitchell. Good running room over right tackle for about 6 yards.
Very important in the Winnipeg scheme of things to establish the running game, and they have an offensive line that they hopefully that can do that. Van Conen is the center. He's at 275. Black is the right guard at 292. And Chris Walby, the right tackle, is 6'7", 335, and they think that they can get the job done with these guys up front, but Birmingham is not bending too well.
2nd and 3, it goes to Mitchell, and he is short of the first down by about a yard. So Cal Murphy decides to go to the running game here. And he looks to be short by a yard or less. And again, probably too early in the game to gamble at this point.
Well, the one thing and the rule difference that between the CFL and the NFL, we're going to look at the measurement here. The defensive line is required to line up 1 yard off the line of scrimmage. Now, at this point, that ball is only about a foot or two away. With the defense lined up a yard off the ball, it makes for a very good opportunity for a quarterback sneak.
And obviously, the coaching staff feels the same way because they are lining up to go for it. This is third down. Remember, third down in the Canadian Football League is like fourth down in American football. So this is a possession down. The quarterback sneak, and it looks like Garza has enough. Dan, as you say, that 1 yard difference is a big factor on a quarterback sneak type
play. It really
play.
does, particularly when you've got a foot or 2 feet to go for a first down. You just get behind that big center at 285, duck your head, and just keep those legs moving until you hear the whistle blow.
Ball on the 35-yard line. Winnipeg first and 10. They trail 14-0. The Barracudas with 2 huge offensive plays early in this ball game. Again, it's Mitchell. He's to the 50-yard line before finally being tripped up by Mark Ledbetter. And it's interesting, Danny, that with the passing game failing, Winnipeg goes to the ground game pretty effectively.
They feel very comfortable with these guys. The guys up front and that guy right there carrying the mail. It's a counter trap with Miles Gurrell leading the way. That's 335 pounds. Makes great. An excellent job just getting right on his back, running with his heels, and he's a good, quick, agile receiver and running back who happens to be taking a knee right now. He looks like he's having a little problem with an ankle or maybe a knee.
Winnipeg is not deep in those running back positions. That was a concern of the team going in. Winnipeg has always had a large offensive line. That's always been a hallmark of this team. And they had the same thing again this year, and that makes them capable of going to that running game when the passing game is sputtering.
And it's even more important right now, particularly with number 15, Sammy Garza, who you're looking at talking to Cal Murphy, the head coach. Sammy is not nearly as mobile of a quarterback as what they're used to have here in Winnipeg, particularly because you have him right now in Birmingham, and Matt Dunigan, a guy that can move the pocket, a guy who's able to scramble. Sammy is pretty much set up behind the tackles, in between the tackles, drop back style of quarterback. So it constitutes that offensive line has to be bigger and has to be better at protecting longer.
49 there is Donovan Gans, who is a defensive lineman for the Barracudas. And the 99 is Akaba Delaney, also a defensive lineman. And there is Mitchell coming off the field and appears to be okay. Maybe just had the old proverbial bell rung there. It's going to be a first down for the Blue Bombers, nosing up to the 50-yard line, as they have been moving the ball via the rush. And they stick to it as Johnstone carries and finds very little running. Steve Anderson carrying the ball that time.
Now with Eric Mitchell going off on the sideline, Alan Wetmore, another fullback. So basically Winnipeg is in there with a 2 fullback system. This is a situation that they had to play in the first game because the tailback that they had was thrown out.
2nd and 10, and the pass is caught on the 45-yard line of Birmingham by Alan Boyko. And it's interesting to see how the running game makes the passing game work. Really no difference there from the college or the NFL variety of football.
As soon as you have some opportunity to run the ball, you run a little play action, freeze the linebackers ever so slightly, just enough for that receiver to come in, work into the open area. Alan Boyko, a very versatile receiver as far as finding the open area, does a good job of looking the ball in.
Another first down for Winnipeg, and they go to the big guy again, plowing up the middle, and he's up to about the 40-yard line. Alan Wetmore, and there's nothing fancy about his moves, as John Moten made the tackle. Wetmore is one of those guys that is not going to run around you. He's just going to put his head down and try to stomp you.
I don't think so. I think his compass only goes north and south, and that's where his head goes right there. And anybody gets in front of him, you just better buckle up and just grit your teeth because you're going to feel it when he hits you.
Cleat marks on your chest. 2nd down and 5 for Winnipeg. Birmingham is leading this game 14-0. There's a fumble. And Birmingham has recovered. Recovered by Donovan Gans. Shante Peoples also very much part of the mix there. And the Barracudas with a big turnover and yet another big play. We'll be back. Birmingham leads it 14-0. First and 10, Birmingham. Jimmy Klingler back to pass. He's in trouble, and he's going to eat the ball on about the 45-yard line with a flag down.
Early flag down on the play, and I think it may be offsides against Winnipeg on the snap count. Klingler did an excellent job. He faked the counter trap.
And you've got it.
Faked the counter trap, came out, bought a little time, showed some athleticism as far as scrambling around.
Well, it's certainly nice to see penalties working in favor of the Barracudas. As I mentioned earlier, they had 17 penalties in their first game. Coach Party said that had to improve, so in the second game, it did improve. They had 16 penalties. Not what he had in mind.
Well, they're learning.
Yeah,
they're absolutely learning, and they're getting better, and I think that's got to be a positive note for them.
What you call gradual improvement. 1st and 5 for Birmingham on the 49. This is Willie McClendon. And that's about as tough a 2 or 3 yards as you'll see anywhere, as he really had to work to find a little bit of daylight there. It'll be 2nd down and about 2. So this is one of the few opportunities where the Barracudas will have sort of a run-pass option.
It is, and Klingler deciding to go with the hurry-up offense to try to keep and eliminate a little bit of what kind of defenses that Winnipeg can throw at him.
That's also a new wrinkle for this game. Klingler going long, and the ball is thrown over the head of Derek Crawford. Crawford guarded very tightly down the far sideline by Duran Bolden of Winnipeg. So Jack Party and John Jenkins trying to go for it all, trying to manufacture yet another big play, and not meant to be that time.
Ken, I'm very impressed with the way this Birmingham team has showed up here today to play. They're helping themselves in every phase of the game. Offensively, they've come up with a big play. Defensively, came up with a major score, and their special teams have done extremely well.
Scott Player into punt. And he's faking it. The pass is caught by Junior Thurman. He's on the 15, the 5, and is dragged down on about the 5-yard line. And out of the bag of tricks, look at this. The Barracuda coaches, they've been planning that one all week long. And it worked like a charm.
That looked like Al Everest, the special teams coach, is really excited. Junior Thurman's just standing out there all to the right-hand side, all by himself. Winnipeg makes no attempt to adjust to that. All player has to do is make sure I throw the ball far enough so Junior Thurman can catch it. And when you're standing out there all by yourself, those are the toughest catches to make. Junior, being the veteran that he is, looked the ball in, tucked it away, picked up some additional yardage, and puts Birmingham in a great scoring position.
1:04 to play in the first quarter. 1st and goal from the 5. Penalty markers are down as Klingler's pass is incomplete. Well, we're not even out of the first quarter, and we've seen everything plus the kitchen sink coming out of that Barracuda playbook already. We've seen fake punts. We've seen the hurry-up offense, all kinds of stuff.
And I think this is going to move it just a little closer to the goal line with offsides against Winnipeg.
Offside. Winnipeg, number 90. 1st down.
Boy, I'll tell you, Cal Murphy is a fiery guy on that Winnipeg sideline. He may just explode before too long.
Just one little insight I'd like to tell you about Cal Murphy. He's very fortunate to be with us and be alive today. Cal Murphy was the recipient of a heart transplant about 2 years ago, and I can guarantee you they are testing every suture on the valves today.
Boy, don't you know that. 1st and goal now from the 3. Willie McClendon, touchdown Birmingham. Little option play to the right, and the former Florida Gator, Willie McClendon, who broke most of Emmitt Smith's high school rushing records in the state of Florida, goes 3 yards for the Barracuda touchdown. It's 20-0.
This Birmingham team is making it look easy. They've come out here to play. Granted, this is really uplifting for him. Jimmy Klingler comes down, brother David, obviously.
Right.
Comes down, just looks at the option. There's nobody picking up the option. McClendon is standing back there all by himself. All he has to do is deliver the mail to him. McClendon does an excellent job looking the ball in again, gets it into the end zone.
So you got Franco Drilla coming in to attempt the extra point with Reggie Slack holding, going for a 21-0 lead. And he's got it. Still just 22 seconds left to play in the first quarter, and this young Birmingham Barracuda team that was such a question mark coming in is serving notice immediately to the Canadian Football League that they are going to be a factor. None of these pay-your-dues expansion type things for the Barracudas, at least not so far.
Well, you don't want to be anybody's whipping boy when you come into here. So therefore, as a new club that doesn't have any experience, but all of a sudden, those guys from Birmingham may not know that they're supposed to be like that. They're coming in here, and they're believing that they can beat anybody. They're excited about it. Training camp is over with. The exhibition season is over with. They finally get to hit some other people. These are guys out there that know that they have made this ball club. They are professional football players, and this is their job. And that Birmingham team right now is going out there and executing as well as any team we've seen in the CFL so far in the 95 season.
And there you see John Jenkins, the offensive coordinator, and he must be thinking this is pretty easy so far because most of what he's called has worked. The kickoff sails into and out of the Winnipeg end zone, and it will come out, and the Blue Bombers will put it into play with 22 seconds with which to work in this first quarter. Franco Grillo, who played in the Arena Football League in 1994, kicked for the Albany Firebirds. 76 PATs in a row for the Firebirds. That was an Arena League record.
Ball through the end zone, comes out, spotted in scrimmage at the 25-yard line.
Another difference in the CFL game from the American variety. Well, I'll tell you, you football fans back in the state of Alabama are going to enjoy watching this Birmingham Barracuda football team play. They have shown you that they can make the big play and play that up and down, longer, wider, faster game. Here is Mitchell. Running room for about 5 yards. Among others, of 6 former CFL All-Stars that the Barracudas have signed to get this first-year team going.
Very well-respected ball player in this league. 6'1", 242 pounds out of West Georgia College. Two-time Grey Cup champion.
Knows what it takes to get there. 2nd down and 5. The ball nosing up to the 31. Garza to Chris Johnstone. He appears to have the first down up over the 35-yard line. A penalty marker is down, but the officials now picked it up and put it back in his pocket. And that's the end of the first quarter. And a successful one indeed as Birmingham leads Winnipeg 21-0.
Has a new member in its food chain. And wait, see its teeth. The Birmingham Barracudas. The CFL's latest expansion team comes to Birmingham with exciting football, affordable ticket price, and kids under 12 free when accompanied by an adult. That means fun entertainment for the whole family. Call for your ticket information, 5584-CFL, and come see the home opener on July 15th at Legion Field. Watch for the feeding frenzy. Barracuda, jump!
Welcome back to Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. Winnipeg, a town of a population of around 650,000. Manitoba, just a beautiful corner of the earth. We are told, do not have the documentation to back it up, but we are told there are more lakes in the province of Manitoba than anywhere else in North America, and they are very proud to boast of the world's best fishing in this province.
Absolutely. If you love the fishing, they don't know a lot about bass fishing like you would down in the south, but they sure know about pike and some of the lake trout and some of the other styles of fish that are up here and types of fish, and it is a tremendous outdoors for people to see the countryside, to enjoy it, the boating and everything that goes on. But more importantly, Sammy Garza doesn't get to see much of that good scenery today.
He's not doing much enjoying either. 1st and 10 for Winnipeg. Throws it out here to Mitchell, back in the game after having his bell rung earlier. Takes it out to the 41-yard line before Fernando Thomas takes him down. John Moten also over there to help out. It'll be 2nd down and about 6. And again, possession down coming up.
Impressed with the way that Greg Newhouse is calling his defense in a sense. We're not going to give up the big play. We're not going to let you get back into the game very quickly. We're going to take everything away deep. We're going to force you to throw the ball short to it. And then we got good, quick people that can react to it.
Garza throwing down here complete to Sean Collins. He has the first down. He's in Birmingham territory at the 53-yard line. Sean Collins, another of these versatile receivers, and obviously that young lady, an admirer of his. Winnipeg has a lot of very versatile receivers downfield that can run the short patterns or the deep patterns with equal effectiveness.
Sean Collins, the leading receiver in Winnipeg's first game against Ottawa, he had 6 catches for 91 yards, and that has been the key with Winnipeg. They have 4 or 5 receivers. All of them catch the ball extremely well.
1st and 10. That pass is intercepted by Birmingham's Junior Thurman, and he is going to go all the way. Touchdown, Birmingham. All-Star signed by the Barracudas in the offseason. Again, proves to be another wise acquisition as he makes the big play.
Poorly thrown ball by Sammy Garza. He's throwing the ball to the wide side of the field on a hitch pattern, and he throws the ball up the field. As you can see, that allowed Junior Thurman. He only had a shorter distance to get there to be able to make that pick. And this is the guy that's been around the league for 7 years, 1991 and 92, all West Conference, all CFL. He was a Grey Cup champion in 1992. He knows what to do once the ball's in the air. Once he has it in his hands, he knows how to get it in the end zone.
And the Barracudas threatening to turn this thing into a laugher. Franco Grilla converts the extra point, and Birmingham leads this game by a score of 28-0. Barracudas football. Will be right back. Welcome back to Winnipeg Stadium. Ken Lass along with Danny Kepley bringing you the play-by-play of what has so far been an absolutely smashing debut for the Birmingham Barracudas. A 28-0 lead. And Danny, I don't think the coaches in their wildest dreams could have anticipated a start like this.
Again, we're going to get a quick chance here to look at this interception by Junior Thurman. The hitch pattern to the outside, and as I said, the ball was thrown up the field. That allowed Junior Thurman, once he made his break on the ball, he had a shorter distance to go, and he made no mistake once he got there, picking it off, putting it into the end zone. From talking with Coach Pardee and even Coach Newhouse, the guys, they just wanted to be, respectable. They wanted to make sure that this was not a blowout the other way, 28-0 against Birmingham. But here, I don't think that they would have imagined coming in against a veteran ball club like Winnipeg that they would be up 28-0. But don't rest on your laurels. This is a long game, and a lot of things can happen to it.
A lot of points can get scored in a CFL game. This is Darius Watson returning the football up to around the 37-yard line, which is where the Blue Bombers will take over. And it looks like we're going to get a look at Terry Dean at quarterback for Winnipeg. And Danny, the way the Winnipeg offense was going, you can't blame Coach Murphy for making the switch here.
You really can. He made some bad throws, a couple of interceptions that were taking place. He's trying to force a lot of things to happen. Once you got behind, you were trying to come back and make a big play happen. And there's also, around Winnipeg, and the people in Birmingham doesn't know this, but Sammy Garza happens to be the son-in-law of Coach Cal Murphy, so everybody kind of gets on him and thinks that that's part of that job security of why he's out there. It's not so. Sammy Garza happens to be a very capable quarterback, just not today so far.
Terry Dean's first down, throws the safety valve to Johnstone, and did he hang on to it? Apparently so. For a gain of about 6 yards to the vicinity of the 45-yard line. Terry Dean rolling out of the pocket nicely, showing you a little mobility here, and SEC fans will remember him doing this sort of things for the Florida Gators.
Well, this is the thing that you got to have, some mobility and some quickness to be able to get away and elude those defenders and make something happen. He does a good job of throwing the ball on target.
2nd down and 3, and Winnipeg going with the run, trying to pick up the first down. He is very, very close. Barracuda defense seemed to think that they stopped him short, but officials are going to take a closer look at this. From time to time during this telecast, you're going to see a phone number on the bottom of your screen, which is a number that you can call to get more information on tickets to Birmingham Barracudas football game. That phone number is 558-4CFL. 5.58 for CFL. And you see Will Gilmer injured on the play. Gilmer out of the secondary, and Birmingham not tremendously deep in the secondary, so they can ill afford to lose anybody at that
No,
spot.
they really aren't. It's the kind of time that Will Gilmore comes in as their nickel back, stands in there at 6 foot, 208 pounds out of Tulane.
There again is Matt Dunigan, the guy who played here in Winnipeg for the last 3 years. Matt Dunigan threw for 713 yards in one game for Winnipeg. Just
It was
an
a game,
incredible statistic.
It was a game last year against the Edmonton Eskimos here at Winnipeg Stadium, and it was just an incredible showing of a quarterback and what he could do. He was on record to break, on course to break every record in the CFL throwing the ball, but unfortunately came up with the knee injury late in the season.
It is a first down for Winnipeg on their own 48. Terry Dean trying to dump it off to Mitchell. The pass overthrown, and Eddie Davis had a shot at another big interception there. I'm not sure Eddie expected the ball to be coming.
Well, you have to think right now. I'm not so sure from looking at Terry Dean on that pass that he's all that comfortable out there right now. He's been like a fish. He's been thrown into the fire right now to make something happen. And he was really trying to force and guide that ball as opposed to just stepping back there and throwing in the pocket like he can do.
You saw Will Gilmer on the bench being attended to. Hopefully that injury is not serious. Second down and 10. Dean unloads, and it is caught and missed, and then intercepted by Birmingham. Intercepted by Fernando Thomas after it bounced off the chest of Sean Collins. Wow.
Tommy Orr did a great job this time of almost intercepting him himself. Look at the heat coming in. Dean knows he has to get rid of the ball. Orr is there. Also, Fernando Thomas is there, and then the ball comes down into Thomas's hands, and great concentration to make a pick. This is a defense that is really coming up big. They're doing some things out there that probably they didn't think they were capable of doing. And the fact of the matter is, when you get a guy like Greg Newhouse, who is very innovative. He's got a great imagination about the game of defense, and he knew that his players were going to go out there, and all they're going to do is fly around, chase people, and tackle, and make things happen, and that's exactly what we've seen them do today.
Well, you can tell the Barracudas are just having fun now. They're just out there flying around, having a good time, and then, of course, on the other side of the coin, you got this guy, number 87, Gerald Wilcox, who's the best receiver on the Winnipeg team. These guys heavily favored going into this game. They just have to be wondering what the number of the truck is that has hit them tonight.
Take a look as Terry Dean comes outside. He's trying to find his receivers. Nobody's open. Really good coverage. Underneath, that's Tommy Orr kind of laying in there and poaching a bit. And then the ball falls right into the hands of Fernando Thomas. Still taking a look.
Will Gilmore on the sideline. Obviously some sort of leg problem there. Will certainly doesn't want to come out of this game. The way things are going, everybody wants to stay in and play in this game.
Everybody wants to get in, and don't be surprised. We may see Matt Dunigan out there running around just because he said, if this is what pro football is all about, I want to have some of this fun myself.
We need to emphasize that this is not a chopped liver team Birmingham is playing. Winnipeg was a Grey Cup semifinalist last year. They've won 10 Grey Cups in their history. They're one of the perennial big contenders in the CFL.
In the Western Final last year, they lost to Baltimore in a final minute field goal by Ikwe BK.
First down play, and this time Klingler is not going to get out of trouble. He goes down around the 44-yard line, and among others, Del Lyles took him down. And finally, the Blue Bomber mascot has something to cheer about.
Those two on the sideline, they're Buzz and Boomer, that are called. Dale Lyles does an excellent job, but look at Klingler now. When you come down the line of scrimmage, you're only about 2 stops. You got to get rid of the ball now. If you don't, you're going to give that defense enough time to do exactly what they did, get in your face.
Penalty marker is down, and that play never gets off the ground. And we've been so excited about how well the Barracudas have played, but there's only 10:36 to play in the second quarter. So much football remaining, and in the CFL, it is not at all unusual to come back from a 28-point deficit.
Winnipeg, number 56. It will be second down repeated.
In 1994, an average of 57.2 points per game were scored in the CFL, so Winnipeg can definitely come back from a 28-point deficit. The penalty does help. It is now 2nd and 12. And again, a possession down in the CFL. And it's ruled a live ball. And Winnipeg has it. recovery. And that is the first big play that has gone in Winnipeg's favor tonight. And Danny, you figured Klingler just hanging onto the ball a little bit too long. Should he have dumped it somewhere?
Well, if he can't, you better throw it and get rid of it. But look at the angle that he comes down the line of scrimmage. He's only about 6 yards deep. There's nobody blocking Dale Lyles on the backside, and he's got a wide open shot right into the backbone of Klingler, and he makes no mistake about causing the fumble.
So Winnipeg takes over on the 43-yard line of Birmingham. That's Mitchell on the running game. To the 30. The running game nets another 12 or 13 yards. First down on the Birmingham 30.
Birmingham has done a lot of things to get to this 28-point lead. Don't look at the scoreboard. You got to continue doing the same things and be able to shut this out. Don't give Winnipeg any optimism.
The quick pass intended for Alphen dropped. Number 25, Chris Johnstone, had a chance to pick it off.
One of the key parts of Winnipeg's offensive game plan, they have these slot backs, they're inside receivers, and what they like to do is try to hit them hot right off the line of scrimmage, get the ball to them quickly, and then allow them to make a move on the halfback and make a big play.
Large play for the defense here, 2nd and 10. They throw the center screen to Johnstone. He is short of the first down by a yard or less. And another big decision coming up here, but down 28-0. You got to figure Cal Murphy's going to roll the dice.
Again, it's about a yard and a half. Good center screen to Chris Johnstone. Normally known as one of the most powerful blockers that is in this league, but every now and then he's going to surprise you by doing exactly that, coming up with a big screen play.
John Moten making the tackle. There's Cal Murphy. He says we're going for it. 3rd down and about a yard. Quarterback sneak, and the ball is loose. And the Barracudas have recovered the football, and yet another big play by the Barracuda defense as Shante Peoples picks it up along with John Moten, number 42, figuring big in the play. Another huge play by the Barracuda defense, and there's timeout on the field with the Barracudas preserving that 28-0 lead. Has just thrown over the middle to Marcus Grant for a Birmingham first down up to their own 48-yard line. The Barracudas coming off a big defensive stop, now moving the ball effectively, going the other way. This is a 1st and 10 play. And an attempted screen out to Marcus Grant, thrown over his head. Klingler started off a little shaky, then regained his composure, and now is making a couple of errors again.
Trying to get a little razzle-dazzle here. He's going to sprint out to the left, get the defense to flow all the way across the field, and then he's going to pivot 360 and turn it back and throw it back against the grain to the other side of the field on a hitch screen, and he overthrew the ball, fortunately, for both offense and defense.
2nd down and 10. Must pick up the yardage on this play, or it's time to punt the ball. They're going for the option, and a bad pitch. Willie McClendon covers it, but a big loss for the Barracudas back to the 45-yard line. Del Lyles, who has certainly been the most impressive guy out of that Blue Bomber defense, again putting on the heat. Remember, Jimmy Klingler never has played in a CFL regular season game before, and sometimes it shows.
Going to do the option play that they scored on, but all of a sudden, Katie Williams is coming down the line of scrimmage. Is going to have nothing to do with it. Hits Klingler right in the chest. The toss goes way behind the intended back, McClendon, and McClendon was very fortunate being able to recover it on his own.
So on 3rd and 22, Scott Player will kick it away. An over-the-shoulder catch by Boyko, who simply steps over the out-of-bounds line at the Winnipeg 26-yard line. And the Bombers take over from there, and Terry Dean will get his 2nd chance to move the football team. Timeout on the field with the Barracudas leading 28-0.
Orthopedics at Medical Center require surgery. Our specialists use their technology and training to bring patients the latest non-surgical treatments for the back, neck, knees, and other joints.
The CFL's latest expansion team comes to Birmingham with exciting football, affordable ticket prices, and kids under 12 free when accompanied by an adult. That means fun entertainment for the whole family. Call for your ticket information, 5584-CFL, and come see the home opener on July 15th at Legion Field. Watch for the feeding frenzy. Barracudas, jump!
And you're looking at part of a crowd estimated at between 25 and 30,000. A good opening night crowd for Winnipeg, their home opener. They have already played one game this year, lost to Ottawa 25-15 last week. And it's working just like you draw it up on the board so far for the Birmingham coaches. And the fans wait for some fireworks by their home team. Winnipeg, hey, I'm on camera. I'm on camera back in Alabama. Terry Dean, the former Florida Gator, cranks it up for his second series. He had this team on the move briefly, but a great defensive stop deep in Birmingham territory ended his first offensive chance. 1st and 10 from the 26. Eric Mitchell, who's been effective tonight, but not that time, tries to go wide, and Reggie Marable, among others, drag him down. The Barracudas turn right around and play at Hamilton on Saturday.
Take a look at the pursuit of this defense. Everything shuts down the hole. John Moulton able to get up into the line, get him going east and west. And once he starts going east and west like that, this defense has got the speed and the agility to chase him down, and they do exactly that.
2nd down and 5 from the 31. Intended for Gerald Wilcox, and Winnipeg's leading receiver would have needed a pair of stilts to flag that one down. Wilcox, I don't believe, has caught a pass yet tonight, and that was certainly a key, is to keep the ball out of his hands.
Well, they got two great inside slot backs in Gerald Wilcox and also Gerald Alphin. 1994, Gerald Alphin had 73 receptions for 994 yards. Wilcox had 111 receptions for 1,624 yards. That's a lot of yards. Each of them had 18 touchdowns.
Bob Cameron to punt for Winnipeg. Drawhorn and Morris, the deep men for the Barracudas. Little pressure up the middle. The kick is away. It's going to be Del Morris. Had some daylight up the middle. Returns at about 10 yards, and Birmingham will start in the vicinity of their own 43-yard line. Good field position again for young Jimmy Klingler. If you just tuned in, the Barracudas, with a series of huge plays on both offense and defense. They've already intercepted 2 passes and run them back for touchdowns. They had an 80-yard touchdown pass off a wide receiver screen, and they have a 28-0 lead. And everybody, including these Winnipeg Blue Bomber fans, are quite shocked by the whole thing.
Here comes the blitz, a lot of heat.
Tried to throw the screen out there in the flat.
And again, we're getting into that position where Klingler's comes out and he's going to do that 180-degree turn back over and try to throw it back the other. Trying to get maybe a little too fancy right now, I think. Go back out there, do what you've been doing a bit. You've got to create possession drives, because the one situation that Winnipeg wants to keep you in right now will be 2nd and long, 2nd and 10.
2nd down and 10 for the Barracudas. The heat is on, and trying to get it out to McClendon out in the flat. And Kelly Rush had the heat on Jimmy Klingler, and I'll tell you, Klingler is taking a beating in these last couple of possessions.
Well, they know it. It's 2nd and 10. He's going to take a 3-step drop, 1, 2, 3, stop, plant, and then all of a sudden, Kelly Rush swims the guy, does an excellent job of getting around him, and then he's going to make no mistake. He's going to make you pay once he gets there. I mean, not only does he get an opportunity to take a free shot at the quarterback, but he's got to take out a little aggression from being 28 points down.
That's Thomas Ram there, number 55, former University of Alabama player and offensive line starter for the Barracudas. Scott Player with the punt. Up to the 38-yard line is Kenny Burris, and Winnipeg will start it from there.
Kenny, just to explain one thing, too, let's go to school just for a little bit about the Canadian Football League game. In the punting game, there is no such thing as a fair catch. The team that is covering the coverage team has to allow a 5-yard parameter around the receiving team for the punt returner to catch the ball. Then they can make the tackle. If they come and they invade that 5-yard penalty, it's called a no-yard penalty, and there is a 15-yard penalty from that spot.
1st and 10. Terry Dean in the flat. Overthrown, intended for Wilcox out there. And it was Andre Strode who's already intercepted a pass and returned it for a touchdown. And Andre talking a little bit to Wilcox. Obviously some friendly competition going on out there. At least I think it's friendly.
Well, once you get out there, I mean, it's one-on-one against that, and I'm going to be better than you, and I'm going to take away everything you can do, and I can outdo you. And yeah, you're going to have a little talk, but the main thing, you got to be able to back it up.
Right. You got to walk the walk, as they say.
That's it.
2nd down and 10. Dean on the near sideline and almost intercepted yet again. And very upset with himself is Eddie Davis, who had a shot at that ball, although it would have been a great play had he been able to haul it in.
It was a great play to knock it down. The one thing that he did was make an excellent break on the ball. But again, we're looking right here, telegraphing the pass, and he's trying to force the ball in because Eddie Davis has excellent coverage. He's just trying to get it in there, trying to make something happen, and it almost turns into 6 going the other way.
So Cameron into punt for Winnipeg. Drawhorn and Morris, the deep men for Birmingham. And a good kick. Going to be Drawhorn on the 25. Look out! Drawhorn out of that defensive secondary, got some moves and doesn't get a lot of chances to carry the mail, but when he does, he's a dangerous guy. Quarterback Matt Dunigan and kicker Franco Drilla excited about the potential of that return. He was just a move or two away from breaking that thing.
This just shows you the kind of guy that Matt Dunigan is. When you can see him on the sideline right there, he's cheerleading these guys on. He's really being very positive. He's like a coach out there. He's talking to the quarterbacks. He's talking to everybody else. He himself obviously wants to be out there playing, as we're taking a good look at that punt return by Andy Drawhorn.
1st and 10. Klingler looping it out here and over the head of his intended receiver, number 85. That is Delius Morris.
This is the opportunity when Klingler comes out in that situation. He's got a full 15 or 20 yards ahead of him. Nobody's there. Tuck the ball down and you got to make it. If we start scrambling and you got to make this defense also worry about you being a weapon as a runner, as a scrambler, it makes it a lot tougher on this Winnipeg defense.
2nd and 10. Klingler out here to McClendon. He has the first down. He is to the center field stripe around the 55 before finally getting knocked down by Duran Bolden. 28-0, and there's timeout on the field with 2:47 to play. Birmingham Barracuda football. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Winnipeg Stadium. Ken Lass from Alabama's 13, along with Danny Kepley, bringing you the play-by-play of the first regular season game in Birmingham Barracuda's history. And a successful effort it has been so far. They lead 28-0 with the 2:45 mark of the second quarter. This is a 1st and 10 play. Klingler going deep down the far sideline and ruled out of bounds. Grabbed out there by Marcus Grant, but over the end line.
Again, this is the opportunity. They ran the counter trap fake. They ran it back inside. He broke containment outside. And really, he's got a lot of open grass in front of him that I think that he's got a chance to scramble, pick up 5 or 6 yards or 7 yards. But instead, he decides he wants to try to force it in. There's 3 defenders around that ball, and he has an opportunity to get it picked off.
He is obviously not willing to run that football, at least not so far. 2nd and 10. Wide open receiver, but leads him on just a little bit too much. That's Marcus Grant, and Klingler really nailed behind the line of scrimmage.
One of the keyest positions in football is the backside tackle in the offensive line. This time the tackle blocks down. Everybody pulls down. Now look at Dale Lyles, the outside linebacker. He has great speed. Nobody's blocking him. And all he has to do is a straight line toward the back of Jimmy Klingler.
Boy, I'll tell you, Lyles has just tattooed Klingler all evening long. That Jimmy Klingler is a tough young kid. He has taken some shots back there. Again, it's Player to punt. Scott Player. Very little pressure and a low spiraling punt taken by Boyko on the 20. And a good tackle by Birmingham's Reggie Maribel, and Winnipeg will again start fairly deep in their own territory. Danny, Birmingham has certainly won the battle of field position so far tonight.
They really have, and a couple of times, the play right before that, Jimmy Klingler got up off the field, and he was hopping a bit, and as you see, the trainer's taking a good look at his left ankle just to see what's happening, just have some communication, how he feels what's going on, because you have to have that backup quarterback ready to go in there if needed.
That, of course, would be former Auburn Tiger Reggie Slack. The Birmingham coaches deciding, once they learned Matt Dunigan was not healthy enough to go, to start young Jimmy Klingler instead of Reggie Slack tonight. 1st and 10, Winnipeg. The long bomb downfield intended for Gerald Wilcox. Contact between Wilcox and Anthony Drawhorn. Crowd wanted some sort of pass interference. There's no flag.
And it's almost coming down under the category, if it doesn't fit, let's force it in. And that's what I can see right now Terry Dean trying to do. Throwing the ball in between the seam there. The safety's up over top. And probably had the safety took a good look at the football, along with Junior Thurman on the backside, one of them could have made a play for that ball, maybe come up with another interception. Junior Thurman was very contented with just making sure that he let Gerald Wilcox know that he was very close to him.
Didn't even look like Wilcox was looking back for the football there. Obviously not expecting it to be thrown to him. 2nd and 10. They try the little screen over the middle to Johnstone. Ball thrown a little bit behind him. Johnstone unhappy with himself. There's assistant coach Jim Hilliard exhorting his troops. You UAB fans will recognize Coach Hilliard, who coached the Blazers for so many years.
Sprint, and then it's going to be a throwback. Johnstone gets lost in there. The fullback sliding right in the middle of your screen. The ball's thrown behind him just a little bit, but it's a very catchable ball. Johnstone just took his eyes off of it, lost his concentration, and it goes incomplete. Good look at Bob Cameron, the punter.
I think you can see how many changes of possession there can be in the CFL with the 2 downs and out rule that they have. There's a penalty marker down as Drawhorn comes up to make the reception.
Now, this is a perfect example. It's what I was trying to explain to you earlier. This will be a no-yards penalty against Winnipeg. Now, as Drawhorn comes up, catches the ball, he's tackled immediately, but there is somebody within that 5-yard restricted zone, so therefore then it will be a 15-yard penalty from the point of foul.
Winnipeg number 43, 15-yard penalty, first down.
And that's a 15-yard major penalty. So essentially, the CFL has said, we're not going to let you fair catch the ball, but as a trade-off for that, we're giving you 5 yards to catch and run the ball.
But also, they keep alive one of the most exciting plays in football, the punt return. And that's what they want to do, instead of having everybody fair catch it or just kneel it down. So then, in this case, it is one of the key interesting facts and the rules of the Canadian Football League game.
1 minute, 58 seconds to play in the first half. Birmingham is leading 28-0. First down running play to McClendon. He has a couple of tough yards up the middle. We should also say, Danny, one thing we haven't touched upon yet is that the clock stops after every play within 3 minutes in the CFL.
In the last 3 minutes of the half and the end of the game, and we'll talk about it right after this play here, McClendon does an excellent job of just holding on to the ball. The ball almost got stripped there. You can see Dale Lyles is another. He's a very active linebacker along with Kelly Rush. And we'll pick up that point right after this play.
Here's a pitch to McClendon. Breaks the tackle. And Willie McClendon with a brilliant run down to the Winnipeg 17-yard line. Duran Bolden finally made the tackle, but Willie McClendon, who looked like he was going to be stopped after a gain of about 5, breaks it for a big play.
This is the way it goes. 4 receivers to the wide side of the field. They come back to the toss guy. Now it's the halfback that is rotated to the safety area. He's got to come a long way, about 15 yards, to try to make the tackle on McClendon. McClendon does a good job of getting away from it and picks up additional yardage.
1st and 10, penalty marker down, and so is Jimmy Klingler back on the 30-yard line. We have a holding call here coming up.
Good call. Have you ever worn one of those zebra shirts?
No.
I think we're going to have a holding call against Birmingham.
That would be the first one, and that alone has to be somewhat of an encouragement.
Holding, Birmingham number 53. That penalty's declined. It's 2nd down.
They will take the loss. The penalty was called on Chris Dyko.
Take a look as Dyko just takes him down. Good arm bar. Drags him down, and maybe that's a good way to protect your quarterback from the backside. Just don't get caught doing it. As you said, there's no crime in holding. The crime is in getting caught.
Jimmy Klingler says, I don't care what you do, they're killing me back here. Over the middle, caught down to the 16-yard line. That's Marcus Grant. And Grant has come up with some big catches out of the University of Houston. One of the many members of that University of Houston combination.
Klingler, again, is very lucky to be able to get away with this. As they hold him, they force him to pull it down. He's got to reload it again. He's right about 3 yards from the line of scrimmage. The pursuit from the backside just wasn't there. That enabled the quarterback able to make that completion and pick up the first down and keep this drive alive.
It is still third down, and Franco Grilla is going to try the field goal from the 23. Remember, the goalposts are on the goal line in the CFL, so this is a 23-yard field goal attempt. And it's good. Franco Grilla drills it from 23 yards, and the Barracudas add to their lead. It's 31-0.
Now, again, just another, we'll go back to the classroom again. The receiving team, after a successful field goal, has the option of either scrimmaging the ball from the 35-yard line or having Birmingham kick off. In this instance, as I see, Winnipeg has chosen to scrimmage the ball from the 35-yard line.
And we go back to the fact that despite the fact that Birmingham had a couple of running plays, the clock still stopped and stops after every play within 3 minutes. We're down to 37 seconds in the half. 1st and 10 Winnipeg on their own 35. Dean, with all kinds of time, throws it incomplete. Intended for Alphen. And defending on the play for the Barracudas is Eddie Davis, who has come very close to making a couple of big plays tonight.
He's been very active. Just to clean up that one little idea about the time clock, and we'll see the replay, and I'll talk right through that. But the time clock will stop as they mark the ball. Then once they mark the ball, we have an incompleted pass. In this case, the clock will start at the snap of the ball. But if it was a rushing play, they would mark the ball, have everybody get on side, then the clock would be blown in.
2nd and 10. Terry Dean way over the head of Gerald Wilcox, and Wilcox just looks back at his quarterback and says, where are you throwing the football? Boy, I'll tell you, Winnipeg is not getting good quarterback play from either Sammy Garza or Terry Dean so far tonight.
Well, the next guy to be called upon in the bullpen is Steve Pallure.
There's another name that Alabama football fans
will remember him, absolutely, out of University of Washington.
Cal Murphy, whom you just saw there, the Winnipeg coach, looking for somebody who can get the ball in the same zip code as his receivers. Cameron to punt. Drawhorn and Morris the deep man. This is going to be Del Morris from the 16. Hang on. Penalty marker down, and so is Morris at about the Birmingham 41-yard line. And I tell you, these Barracuda receivers have shown the ability to spot a little daylight and make a lot of yardage out of it.
Very quick, very agile. All they need is just a little seam, and they can get through there. We're going to have an illegal block or clipping against the Barracudas, and it'll bring it back.
About the only thing Birmingham has not done for a touchdown tonight is some sort of special teams return. They've already had 2 intercepted passes for a score and an 80-yard screen pass for a touchdown.
Birmingham, number 39. First down.
Penalty called on Jimmy Reed, who is a linebacker by trade. And one thing about the CFL 37-man roster, so a lot of the starters on offense and defense are going to be playing on those special teams.
They certainly do. They don't have the luxury that all of a sudden that offensive team walks out after 2 downs and they send on 12 other guys that's going to cover it. If you're good enough to start in this league, then you've got to play special teams also.
12 seconds to play in the half. Barracuda's not going to take any chances here. There goes McClendon for a nice gain up to about the 29-yard line. The clock is stopped with about 7 seconds, so we've got time for 1, maybe 2 plays before we go to halftime. And what a half it has been for the Cudas.
It really has. So as you see right now, the ball will be spotted. And at this point, the ref will blow the clock in. The time clock will run down. But just
they don't have to run a play.
They do have to run a play. You're right. They do have to run 1 play. Even if the clock goes to 0, Birmingham will have to run 1 play, and that will end the half.
This is the final play of the half. Little shovel pass to McClendon. He's brought down on about the 38-yard line, and the end of the first half has come, and the Birmingham Barracudas have shocked heavily favored Winnipeg 31-0. When we come back, you'll see a tape explaining many of the rule differences between the CFL and the American football you're more accustomed to. We'll be right back after this timeout.
Welcome to Canadian football. Wide open, fast, different. You'll love it. Hello, I'm Ron Lancaster, head coach of the Edmonton Eskimo Football Club. I've been around the Canadian Football League for over 3 decades. I've seen a lot of great athletes and a lot of great action. They've been playing this game in Canada for over 100 years.
There goes the pass. It's going, and he's got it on the side. He's over for a touchdown.
For Winnipeg's Bud Grant and quarterback Ken Blaine, it had been a season of rebuilding a team that had dominated Western football for years. Regina's Ron Lancaster had been pulling miracles out of the fire all year, and Coach Eagle Keys had his boys thinking like winners.
In fact, the 80th Grey Cup Championship was played in 1992. From the beginning, it's been wide open, and it still is. The game is different. The field is bigger, it's longer, and it's wider. There's a 55-yard line, and the end zones are 20 yards deep. The goalposts are on the goal line. There's one more player on the field for a total of 12. There are only 3 downs, one less than the American game. On offense, it's like starting every series, 2nd and 10 yards to go. There's a lot more territory to cover on both sides of the ball. If that's not enough, they create space, and that's at the line of scrimmage. And for the punt returners, catch it and run. Take off, have fun with it. The bigger field and 3 downs mean offensive strategy is built around a strong-arm quarterback who is mobile and can throw on the run. There are only 20 seconds between plays. It's another reason why the CFL game is quicker. When you watch CFL football, the first thing you'll see is motion. Lots of it. It's part of the strategy. Try to get the defense going one way, and then you go the other. Sounds simple? Take a look.
For the offense, the movement allows guys that are probably the 4.6s, 4.7 slot backs to become a 4.4 guy because you get the running start, time it up, and now you're ready to run, and the DB's flat-footed. It allows you to confuse the defense or outflank defensive linemen sometimes. And you can widen holes, widen defensive ends, widen linebackers, things of that nature, and allows a quarterback also to read coverage that much easier. Take a running back, run him out wide. If a linebacker runs with him, it's man-to-man coverage, and he can come running back.
Speed and quickness, that athletic ability coaches talk about all the time, are the keys to success. big guys, too. They have to be nimble because they line them up a yard apart before the start. After that, just let them loose and let's play football. The kicking game is different. And for you, the fan, I think the biggest difference you'll see between the American game and the Canadian game is in the kicking. A single point can be scored on kickoffs, punts, and missed field goals. If the ball is not run out of the end zone, or if it is punted through the end zone, or when a player concedes a single point, it is called a ruse. Now, on to field goals. In the Canadian Football League, the kicker uses a tee to kick his field goals or converts. 3 points if you make it. But you can get a single point or a ruse if you miss it. The ball can be kicked out of the end zone, or the defender can catch it and decide not to run it out of the end zone on this field goal attempt and concede the single point. Let's talk punting. A lot of strange things happen in this part of the game. One, there's no fair catch in the Canadian Football League. 2, no defender can be closer than 5 yards to the punt returner until he touches the ball. A punt in the Canadian Football League cannot be down by the kicking team. The punt must be returned by the punt returner. The reason for this, the punter does not have to give 5 yards and can run down, recover his own kick, and gain a first down for his team. Also, any player standing behind the punter when the ball is kicked can also recover the kick for a first down. So, there's lots to look for in Canadian football. The size of the field dictates the strategy. The 3 downs allow for a wide-open style of play dominated by the pass. Quarterbacks are strong-armed, mobile, and the ability to throw and run. There are 12 players, unlimited motion, room to scramble. All CFL quarterbacks scramble. Room to catch and return punts. A rouge. A 2-point conversion. Only one 30-second timeout per team per half. If the score is tied at the end of regulation time, there is no sudden death overtime. There is overtime, and it consists of 2 5-minute halves of football. Wide open, longer, wider, faster. Canadian football. Catch it. You'll love it.
toughest predators has moved to Birmingham.
Go Cuda!
Legion Field is the new home for the Birmingham Barracudas. Come watch us sink our teeth into the CFL in a game that's longer,
Wider, faster.
The home season starts July 15th at 7 p.m. There's special family ticketing to bring you a frenzy of exciting entertainment for everyone. For ticket and schedule information, call 558-4CFL. The Birmingham Barracudas. We're gonna get you young.
Ken Lass and Danny Kepley back at Winnipeg Stadium where the Birmingham Barracudas lead Winnipeg 31-0. The difference in this game really is big plays, especially a couple of huge plays on defense.
Well, it really has. They've come up with some key interceptions. They've helped themselves offensively. But more importantly, they haven't made any mistakes themselves. Not any cheap penalties, not any dumb penalties. They have not really functioned well sometimes on some plays, but all of a sudden it hasn't hurt them. But the key interceptions is the big things that got them going early in the game.
Take a look at Andre Strode picking off this pass here from Sammy Garza early in the game. This was the Barracudas' first score, and it set the tone for the game.
Garza kind of floated the ball out there, and then once he did, Strode made no mistake about getting that ball into the end zone. And not only did it happen once, but it happened another time.
Right, another bad case of telegraphing the pass, and this time it's Junior Thurman, who just joined the Barracudas about a week before training camp.
Junior Thurman has been an all-pro in this league before, and when he gets an opportunity to make a pick, and he can smell that end zone, there is no mistake. There it is.
31-0, Birmingham leads, and we'll be back with a kickoff of the second half right after this timeout.
The level of talent in the CFL has probably been the best kept secret in North America for a long, long time.
It's a more wide open game, a little faster paced. There's more scoring in this league.
When you go into the fourth quarter, you can be up 3 touchdowns and the game is not out of reach. I mean, you can have 10 minutes left in the game. The game is still not out of reach.
We didn't get in CFL to come up short. Our offense is going to run and shoot, and our defense will stop them cold. Come on out to Legion Field. You'll be proud of your Barracudas.
Troy Westwood to kick it off for Winnipeg to Anthony Drawhorn and Del Morris. This is going to be Del Morris from his own one. Good ball. And he is up to the 31 and 32-yard line, again making a few moves, and the coaches have to be pleased with the special teams return play tonight.
Well, they certainly felt like coming into this game, Birmingham had great speed, and that was the thing that it was going to really help them in this game. The team speed, particularly on the special teams, which is a legitimate 1/3 of the football game in the Canadian Football League.
Much bigger role and more prominent role than in the college or NFL game that some of our Alabama fans may be more accustomed to. Reggie Slack comes in to start the second half at quarterback for the Barracudas, the former Auburn University star. His first play from scrimmage. The quick screen incomplete, intended for Jason Phillips. So, Danny, a little bit of a surprise there. Maybe Jimmy Klingler just batted around a little bit too much.
Well, he could have been, but he did take some tremendous shots in the back. But to his credit, he hung in there and he kept this team alive for the first 30 minutes of the game. But you've got an opportunity now. You're 28 points ahead at some point. This is not like giving your rookie an opportunity to play. They've reversed the roles here. Now they've let the opportunity for the veteran to come in to get some playing experience, because they're just not sure about where Matt Dunigan is going to sit, so they want both their guys ready.
2nd and 10, the quick dump off to Willie McClendon. He's got the first down. He's up over the 45 to the 47-yard line. Another set of downs for the Barracudas, and Willie McClendon took a pretty good shot himself. Watch it again.
Little middle screen now. Dale Lyles is coming from the backside, but for whatever reasons, Reggie Slack can feel that, dumps the ball off. And I have been really impressed with the ability of McClendon. After he catches the ball, the quick feet, and unfortunately, he's injured at the present time.
Yeah, feet not too quick at the moment as he is injured on that play. A little bit about Reggie Slack. He, of course, is no rookie when it comes to CFL play. He had 9 games with Toronto last year in '94. Rushed for 102 yards against Baltimore last year. Reggie can run with that football, and you Auburn University fans will remember he did that so well, breaking out of the pocket and tucking the ball.
And speaking of Auburn University, it kind of brings back some old memories for myself, because his coach at Auburn University was Pat Dye. Pat Dye happened to be my senior year coach at East Carolina University, and I just have the greatest respect. So, Coach Dye, if you're out there, I'd just like to say hi to you.
He might be out there dialing it in somewhere. You see Willie McClendon being helped to his feet. Looks like a leg injury of some sort, but hopefully he'll be able to walk that off. Here's the hit again. And dealing it to him was Darrell Sampson. Head-on hit. Looked like he put the helmet maybe on the knee.
Right on the knee, right in the thigh area, and just hopefully that's just a bruise. You didn't see anything move with the knee ligament or the ankles, so you're hoping that it's just some type of contusion. And there you can see on the back, that's Chris Walby. That's
not a pretty
that's
sight
Miles
there.
Terrell, I should say.
A quick screen out here complete. That's Marcus Grant. There's a flag down, and Marcus Grant is out of bounds in Winnipeg territory at the 45. May have gotten an illegal block of some sort down the way. We'll see it again on the replay and see if we can pick it up.
This is the way that you take the heat off of you very quickly. Boom, boom, and then you get it out there in a hurry. Quick hitch pattern, and you can see that the receiver, that's number 86,
Ted Long.
Ted Long comes back inside and makes an illegal block from behind.
So a costly mistake will bring the ball back inside the Birmingham 40 to the 36. And Reggie Slack will have to bring him out of the hole from there. After his 9 games with Toronto last year, Reggie was traded over to Hamilton, where he passed for over 1,300 yards, including a 102-yard touchdown pass. Can't do that in the NFL. First and 10 play for the Barracudas. And Slack is going to go down.
Kelly Rush will give you the call on that. There's just no way. He says, no way you're going to get away from me. And that just constitutes a coverage sack. Great coverage in the back end by the Winnipeg secondary. Reggie Slack is looking. He's looking. He's got 5 receivers out there. Can't find any of them that are going to be open. Has to tuck it down. Tries to use a little footwork. Comes back to the backside. Has to reload it again, but not before Kelly Rush has an opportunity to get him on the ground.
And what a tremendous name for a defensive lineman, Kelly Rush. This is 2nd and 16. And Slack's going to take off, but can't get away. Goes down at the 31-yard line. It was Paul Randolph that caught him around the ankles, and had he broken that tackle, it looked like there was about 20 yards of nothing but open carpet in front of Reggie Slack.
Well, this may be the difference that I may perceive with the 2 quarterbacks between Slack and Klingler. The sense is, this guy, Reggie Slack, he's not afraid to take off with the ball. I'm not saying that Klingler is afraid, but we just didn't see his footwork. We didn't see him scramble a bit. Reggie knows that one of the biggest assets an offense can have is a quarterback who is mobile and who can scramble.
So Scott Player drops back to punt. It's going to be a short high kick. No fair catch in the CFL. And Shannon Garrett goes out of bounds in Birmingham territory. Timeout on the field. The Barracudas lead at 31-0. Birmingham quarterback Jimmy Klingler back up and throwing the football on the Barracuda sideline. Played the entire first half for this team and led them to a 31-0 advantage, but does not start the second half.
Well, just wants to stay up there, keep that arm nice and loose, because as the Winnipeg defense has really gotten after him in the first half, if Reggie Slack takes a shot, he's got to be prepared and ready and loose to get back in the ballgame right away.
And on the Winnipeg sideline, Coach Cal Murphy and his staff just searching for something that works. They have been stuffed on offense, and their defense has given up some big plays.
When you take a look at those guys' faces on the sideline, you can see just the rejection that's there. And in the quarterback in position, Steve Pallure.
That is quarterback number 3 being tried by the Blue Bombers. Steve Pallure out of the University of Washington has had a couple of shots with some NFL teams. He was listed as 3rd string on the depth chart. But both Terry Dean and Sammy Garza not getting the job done for Winnipeg tonight. So Steve Pallure takes over with the ball 1st and 10 on the Birmingham 39-yard line. A late hit was called on the Barracudas on the previous punt return. That's why the field position is so good. Throws it out here to Eric Mitchell, and John Moten just flattens him at the 34-yard line.
John Moulton at 6'1", 230 out of Akron. This is his 5th year in the league, and he was an All-East and All-CFL player in 1993. Very powerful. Again, they're going to take the deep pass away from him, force Perlure to have to throw it short, and all of a sudden, Eddie Davis comes out, forces him back inside. There's the pursuit. Boom! Take a look at this. Hello.
My name is John Moulton. Remember my face. I'll be back. Was a gain of 7 yards on the play. 2nd down and 3 with a ball on the Barracuda 32-yard line.
Now, you know, you should have used that Arnold Schwarzenegger kind of accent at that time. Like, I'll be back.
That's right. I'll be back. You can see Eric Mitchell coming off the field after that hit.
Eric Mitchell saying, well, you may be back, but I'm not.
No, I'm not going to be back.
I'm not coming. I'm going to go over to the sideline. I'm going to talk it over and chat this thing up a little bit. I may have to cut my losses here for the rest of the game.
Winnipeg has to get the ball to the Birmingham 29-yard line to keep the drive going. They are in field goal range at this point. Remember, the goalposts are on the goal line. Pitch out goes to Johnstone, stacked up at the line of scrimmage. We're going to have a 3rd and 3, and Angelo Snipes with a tackle.
Angelo Snipes, one of the prime players in this league for a number of years, just does a tremendous job of fending off blockers on the toss play, getting down the line of scrimmage, forcing the ball carrier back inside, and then he falls off the block, comes back in, and makes the tackle.
So Troy Westwood is going to try the 40-yard field goal. He has a solid wind blowing at his back. The wind blowing pretty straight left to right on the field. Winnipeg trying to get on the board. It certainly has the distance, and it's good. First time they've had a chance to sound off the cannon here at Winnipeg Stadium, as the Barracudas' lead is trimmed to 31-3. And Danny, sometimes a little thing like that gets you going. Just being on the board is a psychological
you have been down there and you've gone to the well so many times and found it dry, and all of a sudden you have an opportunity. There's one of the guys. That's Chris Walby. Now take a look at those arms on the sides of that man. Now this man stands 6'6", 6'7". He's about 335 pounds.
He's still growing.
Well, he says he's slimmed down a little bit this year. I think each one of those arms go about 150 each.
Now Birmingham is taking the ball on the 35-yard line, which under CFL rules they can do. There's another difference right there.
Certainly is. But getting back to the point we were going to make, you need to get some kind of positive thing happen. Get something on the board. It could be the smallest of things, 3 points at this time, but at least you come away with something.
And in the CFL, coming back from big deficits like 31, 28 points, not all that unusual because the rules favor offense and point production. Pass incomplete out on the flat intended for Ted Long. Be 2nd and 10 as Reggie Slack starts his 2nd series at quarterback. Jack Pardee told us before the game, and you see Pardee right there, he said there will be a quick hook for any quarterback that doesn't produce in this game. Jimmy Klingler certainly did in the first half.
And Jimmy Klingler surely did pass Coach Pardee's test.
Yes.
And even more so the test of the Winnipeg defense.
2nd and 10. He's got the first down at the 50-yard line. There's the mobility. And, Danny, what you were talking about, the thing that Reggie Slack gives you that Jimmy Klingler did not do in the first half.
Not in the first half. And the thing is also, Reggie Slack is a big man. He's 6'2", 220 pounds for a quarterback. Now, you can see here, Winnipeg does an excellent job of getting some heat on him, but he's able to just keep his feet moving, break the 8.
Slack will gain about 7 yards off the option play. He'll come up short, and the Barracudas will be in a kicking situation. But again, you see, running that option play with Slack gives you a whole new dimension than with Jimmy Klingler, whom you are pretty sure is going to pitch the ball in that situation.
Well, just from what we've seen in the first half, he pitched it and he pitched it quick. Winnipeg played it a little quicker. They attacked the quarterback much quicker on the option play, which forced Jimmy to have to pitch it. This time they strung it out, slow played it down the line of scrimmage, so they forced Reggie to have to hold on to the ball. Then he turned it up himself. If I'm going to run the ball as a defense, I want the quarterback running it as opposed to the running back all the time.
That's right.
And then we get a good shot on the QB.
Scott Player with the Birmingham punt. It's rolling laterally on about the 22. No fair catch, remember, in the CFL. A penalty marker is down. And, Danny, do we have the 5-yard rule again there?
We're going to have the no yards penalty here. Now, the referee who throws the flag has his discretion to try to decide whether the Birmingham player was trying to retreat to get out of that 5-yard restricted zone. And if he is so, he may only get a 5-yard penalty. But we're waiting. We'll hear the call from Bud Steen.
No yards. Number 61, Birmingham. 5-yard penalty is declined. It's first down.
So exactly as you see. Now, you watch the Birmingham players. They're trying to get out. They're trying to just circle around the return man. Somebody gets caught inside. That could be number 48. That's Mike James. But then the discretion of the referee is that he was trying to make an effort to get out of there. It's a 5-yard penalty. The return was longer than the 5-yard penalty, so they take the return.
Steve Pallure starts his second series under center. There's a penalty marker down as Gerald Alphen takes the ball to the 39-yard line, close to a first down.
And let's take it back. I think we're going to get holding against number 57. That's Brent McNeil, the left guard, or it could be David Black, number 51.
63 Winnipeg. First down repeated.
They called it on Chris Walby.
Well, they got the double team on that side. I knew it was one of the two guys. And that ref's not that smart. You got to look at how big Chris Walby is. You don't call
right. You don't call penalties on a guy that big.
Pick the little guy between those two. And David Black's not that small. He's 6'3", 295.
You caught a glimpse of Matt Dunigan warming up on the sideline. I doubt seriously that he will play, although who knows? The way things are going, coaches might want to get him in there for a series. We have a 1st and 20 for Winnipeg. Pallure to Gerald Alphen, and the Barracudas playing back on defense. They give him the 7 or 8 yard pass and make sure that the big play does not happen.
Absolutely. Playing a 3 deep zone, they get down and they divide this up into thirds, throw everything and make them throw everything. Backers just react to it. Look at the good drop in the middle. Over and under route by John Moulton. He makes sure that you know he's there.
Centers become the 3rd Barracuda to score tonight. Wilcox very disgusted.
Now, let's get back to a little thing that we talked about, Matt Dunigan warming up on the sideline. If he wasn't going to play at the start of this game, if he wasn't going to come in as a starter, it's 31-3. There is no real reason to maybe threaten getting that finger hurt any further when there's a possibility that he could start next game, next week, and finish and maybe play the whole game. If not, Coach Pardee has got to feel very comfortable that he's got 2 guys on the sideline that did an excellent job.
Cameron on the punt, and Del Morris is going to get a crack at returning it. Very little room there. It'll be Birmingham's ball on the 38-yard line. Timeout on the field. Birmingham leading 31-3. The Birmingham Barracudas aiming toward their first home game at Legion Field Saturday night, July 15th, when they play the Hamilton Tiger Cats, the first of 3 consecutive Saturday night home games, July 15th, the 22nd, and the 29th. And Danny Kepley, it's obvious that this is going to be an exciting football team to watch.
I'll tell you what, you're getting to see it right now. This is a fun team. This is a fun league. They got some great athletes out there. And I tell you what, bring the family, come on down and see this game because it's going to be an exciting season for the Birmingham Barracudas. There's a good look at the next 3 home games.
Right. Now they'll turn around and play Hamilton in Hamilton this coming Saturday with just 3 days rest. Then they'll come back to Legion Field, to the natural grass of Legion Field. And folks, it is beautiful if you've not seen it out there yet. And those are 3 tough games in a row. 7 p.m. starts. For information on tickets, call 558-4CFL. That's 558-4CFL. You'll see that number crawl across your screen occasionally during the ball game. 1st and 10, Barracudas. Little flip inside. This is Donald Moffett. Stopped after a short gain at about the Birmingham 40-yard line. Scribner and Clark on the tackle. Our first look at Donald Moffett, another member of that University of Houston connection. John Jenkins likes those fast guys out of Houston. Jack Pardee got to be a happy guy so far.
Not nearly as happy. He's been around this game for a long time. He knows that it's a full 60 minutes, and if for any reason that you let up, you don't let another team get back into the ball game, and I think that's the point of what he wants this offense to do right now.
Slack rolling out of the pocket. Get a will come back. We'll get another crack for Winnipeg. Really, none of the Winnipeg quarterbacks have shown any kind of consistent ability to move the football against the Barracuda defense tonight. But we have 6:32 to play in the 3rd quarter and a lot of football yet to come from Winnipeg Stadium. Player on his own 29. Little bit of outside pressure. And Alan Boyko starts from his own 30. Another great job of penetration. Danny, you've just not seen the Winnipeg punt returners have any kind of daylight down there.
Not at all, but that's a compliment to this coverage team of Birmingham. They get down there, they get off their, they make their good chuck at the line of scrimmage, get off the block, use that good speed that they've got, the team speed, get down there, surround the punt returner, and make an excellent tackle. Boyko is just stymied.
You're going to see it on the replay. Watch the fact there's just nowhere to go, and that's exactly the way a special teams coach designs his punt coverage.
And you can take a good look. This is a very disciplined type special team. Everybody stays in their lanes. Once the guy makes his break, then fall in and make the tackle.
1st and 10 Winnipeg. The ball is on their own 36-yard line. Lots of pressure, and down goes Steve Pallure in the arms of Angelo Snipes. And Snipes just seems to get a little stronger as the night goes on.
Well, you know, being from Birmingham, but just can only imagine the kind of weather, the humidity, the heat that these guys have been going through. They're coming up here. This is like in the mid-October for you down there. And Angelo Snipes, he knows what it's like. Comes off the front side. He's got good containment, and then the quarterback, Steve Pallure's got no place to go, and Angelo Snipes has got great enough speed. He just chased him down from behind.
So it is 2nd down and 14. More pressure for Pallure, gets rid of it, and it's almost intercepted down there by Eddie Davis. Eddie Davis has had about 3 shots now, and that was the closest of them all. And again, the key is the big pressure coming up the middle.
This collectively is working as a good defensive unit. The guys up front, the linebacker, Steve Moulton, some heavy pressure right at the last minute. The ball's overthrown, and the ball's thrown right into Eddie Davis's hands, and what he's doing, he's looking at the receiver, Wilcox, coming across, and the ball almost surprises him.
Never expected the ball to come clean all the way to him. Morris and Drawhorn are your receivers as Cameron goes back to kick from his own 17. It's a good kick, high and deep. And Drawhorn has a chance. Couple of hard-earned yards to the 39. Timeout on the field. The Barracudas leading Winnipeg 31-3.
As a new member in its food chain. And wait till you see its teeth. Birmingham Barracudas. The CFL's latest expansion team comes to Birmingham with exciting football, affordable ticket prices, and kids under 12 free when accompanied by an adult. That means fun entertainment for the whole family. Call for your ticket information, 5584-CFL, and come see the home opener on July 15th at Legion Field. Barracudas. Jump.
Ken Lass and Danny Kepley with you again from Winnipeg Stadium in beautiful Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. The people of Canada have been very gracious to us, made us feel very welcome here in our short stay. And the Barracudas not being very gracious visitors as they have rubbed up the Blue Bombers tonight to the tune of 31-3. John Jenkins on the Barracuda sideline in the black shirt and hat. That's Matt Dunigan next to him, who has the helmet on like he's itching to play, but probably won't get in there this evening. Jimmy Klingler on the left as Reggie Slack is out in the huddle, ready to take the Barracudas into battle again. Reggie started the second half for the Barracudas after Klingler played the entire first half. So far, Reggie has not led the team to any scoring plays. This is 1st and 10. He throws it out here to Derek Crawford. Derek has a gain of about 3 or 4 as he goes down around the 43-yard line.
Tough pitch and catch this time between Slack and Crawford, because as he's going to come back. It's a hitch screen, but Dale Lyles is not going to have anything to do with it. He gets vertical up in the air, forces Reggie Slack to have to throw the ball quite high, and Derek Crawford does an excellent job of looking the ball in, gets slapped in the head for his trouble.
2nd down and 6. Slack waiting until the very last minute to release the ball, throws an incomplete for Jason Phillips, and again, Reggie hit simultaneously by about 3 guys in the backfield.
Well, the MO for this Winnipeg defense historically has been pressure, pressure, pressure. Bring their linebackers. They have had some of the greatest linebackers in the history of this league.
Caught a look at some of those big guys on the Winnipeg defense. They are probably one of the largest teams in the CFL, especially across the line. Scott Player again back to punt. Alan Boyko, the deep man for Winnipeg, along with Kenny Burris.
Out of bounds, out of bounds.
Boyko will circle under this one at the 25. One more time, the excellent punt coverage by the Barracudas, who are definitely firing on all cylinders. Akaba Delaney on that stop.
And to his credit, Scott Player has been very accurate with his punt. He's been kicking the ball between the... which makes it very easy for that coverage team to get down there, surround it, and there's no place for the punt returner to go but straight up the sideline if he can. And when he starts to make a move up, this Barracuda team have been eating them up.
Talking about big guys, Akaba Delaney right there is, he hasn't missed too many sessions at the food table either. Look at that guy.
Now, wait a second. You better be careful about saying that. I'm going back to Edmonton. You got to go live in Birmingham.
I got to live with these guys. 1st and 10. Pelor, the quick one to Gerald Wilcox for about 5. Danny, I believe that's the first pass that Gerald Wilcox, that's Alphin, Gerald Alphin. Alphin and Wilcox are sort of the bookend slot backs. Maybe the first pass that Alphin has caught as well.
You wouldn't be incorrect in saying that, because I think that's the first pass that Gerald Alphin has also caught. This Birmingham defense has done an excellent job of taking away one of the best weapons that Winnipeg had in their offense, their inside slots. They have just stymied them.
2nd down and 4. Again, that's Alpha. He has the first down at the 44-yard line, tackled by Fernando Thomas. So Winnipeg going to the short passing game out in the flat, starting to use those slot backs the way Cal Murphy likes to use them.
It's the kind of thing, the one thing in this thing, you're going to use a lot of motion. He's going to come out. Gerald Alphin's going to come across the formation. The ball is poorly thrown behind Alphin, but he shows how good of a receiver he is able to turn around 180 degrees, look the ball in, and pick up the first down.
So tough to defend a pattern that develops that quickly. 1st and 10 play. Again, the quick pass this time to Boyko, out of bounds at the 49. And Winnipeg, for the time being, is going to try to nickel and dime the Barracudas to death.
And that's fine. I think if I was the Birmingham Barracudas defensively, I'm going to say, that's good. I'll let you work it out. You're taking time, and you're using time off the clock. We're just not going to give you the big play and let you get back in this ball game in a hurry. We're going to make you work for it, and if it comes down to it, we'll give you that short nickel and dime game, but not the big stuff.
2nd and 5. Winnipeg goes on the running game to Eric Mitchell. Huge hole down to the Birmingham 45-yard line. 1st and 10, Winnipeg. Now, Mitchell ran the ball effectively in the first half. In fact, the running game was the best thing Winnipeg had going. And they go without a huddle. 1st and 10. Valor, under pressure, throws the ball. It is ruled an incompleted pass, and it looked like Snipes. And I think Shante Peoples got in there and made his presence felt as well. We'll bring up a 2nd and 10 from the Birmingham, nosing up to the 45-yard line. There's John Moten, who's getting a blow on the sideline. Moten already with several big plays tonight.
He's got the right idea. John knows he's been around this league and been around the game a long time. He said it takes 4 quarters. It doesn't take 3.5 or 2.5.
Steve Ballure, the former Washington Husky, looking at a 2nd and 10.
Look out, here he comes.
Heavy pressure, and down he goes. And I think it was Peoples in there first and had a host of mates right behind him. Snipes in there as well, and this defense having some fun.
Now, Ken, this may be the way they inspire a team. If I heard correctly, and I'm not sure for a fact, but Shante Peoples missed the flight out of Birmingham.
He did.
So when you come in the day of the ball game, I think you're a little more, motivated to go out there and play, because then all of a sudden you got to show Coach Pardee that you're ready to go out there and get the job done. And Steve Ballure is injured after that play.
Right. Snipes got him low, it looked like, and Peoples got him high, and they just made a sandwich out of him, and Ballure is not getting up. We've already seen 2 other Winnipeg quarterbacks in this game. Terry Dean and Sammy Garza started, and Cal Murphy's just running out of signal callers.
That's it. That's Ron Hodgkins, the athletic therapist and trainer on the sideline, on the left-hand side, looking at the left shoulder of Steve Ballure.
You see, there comes Snipes in from the left, and Peoples from the far side. Must have been hurt on the fall in some manner. There's Sammy Garza, who started the game at quarterback, threw 2 interceptions that were returned for touchdowns, and Coach Cal Murphy gave him the hook in the 2nd quarter. Brought in Terry Dean out of the University of Florida. Terry Dean could not move the team, so Steve Ballure started the 2nd half. And he is going to walk off the field under his own power, and that's certainly good news. It's a punting situation, so for the moment, Cal Murphy does not have to make up his mind what to do about the quarterback situation.
Speaking of punters, Bob Cameron played this game. This is his 254th consecutive game. He breaks the CFL all-time consecutive game record.
Well, he's got a workout tonight. That punt is going to loop into the end zone. That's a live ball until it goes out of bounds. And that is the ruse play, Danny.
Well, that's the single. As if you don't touch the ball, you down the ball in the end zone after you catch it. You have the option of either running out. If you down the ball in the end zone, you are giving up and conceding 1 point. The ball at that point is then scrimmaged from the 35-yard line. This time, the ball sailed over the receiver's head, goes through the end zone, so it still constitutes a single point, or in the books called the rouge. A single is more accurate, I guess. Now that time, Birmingham has the option. They bring the ball out to the 35 and able to scrimmage it from either hash if they want to.
There are times in the game when a team will voluntarily give up a rouge in order not to have the other team score a touchdown or make a big play. 1st and 10, Barracudas on the 35 with the score now 31-4. Inside pitch to Ted Long, and very little running room there at the 35. So for the moment, Winnipeg seems to have solved the Barracudas offense. There's Terry Dean warming up on the sideline. Looks like he's going to be the guy to go back in at the helm if the Bombers get the ball back.
Well, it's the same case. We're not exactly sure, how Steve Ballure is. We haven't got a medical report on him. But in a sense, just in case you got to call somebody right now, Terry Dean is your man, and he's getting warmed up.
2nd and 8. And flag goes down at about the 32-yard line. That was Del Lyles, who has basically earned himself a contract renegotiation with his play tonight. What a performance he's had.
Again, this is the coverage stack. The back end of the Winnipeg defense doing an excellent job of covering receivers. Dale Lyles coming in from the front side, able to get his hands on Reggie, throws him down, and Tony Hill comes in and cleans up.
Yeah, Tony Hill just making sure that Reggie Slack didn't have somebody who wouldn't fall on him after he went down.
Don't get up, because if you get up, I'm going to hurt you. Stay right there.
This will be the final play of the third quarter. It'll be a punt by Scott Player. Short kick. And Winnipeg is going to take over that football with penalty markers down all over the place in Birmingham territory around the 43-yard line.
Tough break for Scott Player as he's kicking, and it's a really stiff wind tonight. That ball is able, once it hits the ground, it's a short punt to begin with, takes a bounce back toward the line of scrimmage. It will be a no-yard penalty against the Birmingham team, and it will move it up another 15 yards from that spot.
Now, do we get another play before the end of the quarter here, or with time expired, will they change sides? They're going to change sides.
No yards. Birmingham, number 42. It's a 5-yard penalty. First down, Winnipeg.
What they're saying is John Moulton was trying to get out of that 5-yard area. The one rule up here again, and the Canadian Football League has a lot of rules, the quarter or the half or the game cannot end on a penalty.
So they do have to have one play.
One more play, and then they will switch in.
There is no time on the clock in the third quarter, but there does have to be one more play from scrimmage. Ball is on the Birmingham 38-yard line. And it is Sammy Garza back in at quarterback. Penalty marker down. Throwing for Boyko and over his head down the near sideline. The flag is down on the far side of the field.
Now, there was a late substitution that came in off. That's exactly what they're calling an illegal substitution that came in off the bench.
Illegal substitution. Birmingham, number 99, 10-yard penalty, first down.
Now we will have yet another play before the quarter
ends.
ends.
Exactly right, Ken. Well, you're a quick learner.
I'm catching on.
You are a studious kind of guy. But then they'll take it 10 yards from the line of scrimmage, penalty, and Winnipeg will have one more crack at it before the quarter will end.
So now they're on the 28-yard line. And the Bombers, who just scored a rouge a moment ago to make it 31-4, knocking on the door again. Sammy Garza, who started this game, back under center. And he goes down. Shante Peoples having a career tonight. He did that for the Las Vegas Posse last year, and that's the end of the third quarter with a score, Birmingham 31, Winnipeg 4. We'll be right back.
In the CFL has probably been the best kept secret in North America for a long, long time.
It's a more wide open game, a little faster paced. There's more scoring in this league. You go into the fourth quarter, you can be up 3 touchdowns and the game is not out of reach. I mean, you can have 10 minutes left in the game. The game is still not out of reach.
We didn't get in CFL to come up short. Our offense is going to run and shoot, and our defense will stop them cold. Come on out to Legion Field. You'll be proud of your Barracudas.
Welcome back to Winnipeg Stadium. Ken Lass and Danny Kepley ready to bring you the fourth quarter. As you got to say, so far so good. The Barracudas lead Winnipeg 31-4. But the Blue Bombers knocking on the door here with a 2nd and 15. The ball on the Barracuda 32-yard line. And still, an entire quarter is plenty of time to roll up a lot of points in Canadian football.
Second and long situations, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers have not been that successful. The Barracudas have absolutely swarmed any quarterback that's been in there. Now again, the quarterback that's in there right now is Sammy Garza, who had a rough start to begin with.
He's definitely looked a little better this time in the second half. 2nd and 15. Here comes the heat. We have flags down, and Garza takes a seat as well as Donovan Gans sits him down. Penalty flags on both sides of the field, and we'll check that out, as will the Barracuda coaches.
There's a possibility we may have an offsides against Birmingham,
which would give Winnipeg new life. I don't know if they're going to want to kick field goals at this point in the game. Well, preliminary indication was against Winnipeg. Again, you have that 1 yard across the line of scrimmage that the defense has to give, and sometimes that 1 yard gets encroached upon by both teams.
Absolutely.
His microphone not working, but you see the offsides against Winnipeg declined. So now you got the ball back there on the 34-yard line. It's a long field goal.
Just to school a little bit again, let's go to school one more time. When you see those inside receivers and slot backs and running backs, you see a lot of people in motion, and a lot of people in motion towards the line of scrimmage. At the snap of the ball, it is required, the rule is, you do have to have 7 people on the line of scrimmage. You're going to have the 5 interior linemen, and usually you're going to have the 2 inside slots, so they try to time it. It's not there every time, and probably 8 times out of 10, they may be offside.
They're going for it on 3rd and 20. Garza throws into the goal line. It is incomplete, intended for Gerald Alphin, and the ball goes over to Birmingham. So 3rd and 20. Coach Cal Murphy disdaining the field goal attempt at this point, down by 27. They go for it all, and a near miss to Gerald Alphin.
Sammy Garza does a good job of getting outside, breaks containment, throws the ball downfield. Throws it to the sideline. Had it been thrown inside the field just a little bit, the halfback, Eddie Davis, again, number 25, was there, right there to make a play on the ball. As it was, Fernando Thomas, the corner, number 3, had excellent stride-for-stride coverage.
And look who's back at quarterback. Jimmy Klingler, who played the entire first half for the Barracudas, back under center for the first time since the intermission. Inside pass. That's Donald Moffett for the first down. Sliding into Winnipeg territory at about the 54.
Perfect timing by the quarterback, Klingler, as he comes in and he's just going to run the inside shovel pass. Dale Lyles was coming hard from the backside again and hit him right when he released the ball.
Without a huddle, first down play. He's going for Marcus Grant and overthrows him. Boy, Marcus had his man beat by about 5 yards.
Something that we haven't seen, taking it downtown, going to the end zone. We haven't seen it since early in the first quarter. Klingler comes back, fakes the ball inside, and then he wants to use that speed, hopefully trying to catch one of those DBs of Winnipeg, just snapping just a little bit or peeking into the backfield.
Franco Grilla warming up on the sideline. The Barracudas place kicker has 1 field goal to his credit tonight. It is 2nd and 10. And here comes the rush. And it was Del Lyles. Who else? I'll tell you what, Lyles' arms have got to be sore from throwing the Birmingham quarterbacks down tonight. He has been something.
Well, that's certainly one of the players on this Winnipeg team that can look himself in the mirror after this game and said, I did everything that I possibly could. But you can just imagine the fear that may sit in. As Klingler comes out from under center, he's going to sprint out to his left, and the first person he sees is the welcome wagon, Dale Lyles, coming in to say, hello.
They brought the whole neighborhood there. Scott Flair will punt it. You got Boyko and Burris, the return men for the Bombers. Good kick, high and deep, and Burris from the 11. About a 15-yard return. Winnipeg will take over on about their own 27. There's a timeout on the field, and our Barracudas are leading 31-4. Winnipeg takes over 1st and 10. Danny, one of the things we haven't talked about is the new alignment in the CFL this year. For the first time, it is a North and South League. In the past, the CFL has always been East and West. All of the American teams are now in the same division. And I guess the idea is to draw a Canada against USA matchup in the Grey Cup. It is not mandatory that will happen, but it is very likely it will happen.
What is going to be set up, like I said, the Northern Division is made up of the 8 Canadian-based teams. The Southern Division is made up of the 5 American-based teams. The playoff schedule is going to be as such that there will be 5 teams make the playoffs in the Northern Division. 3 teams will make the playoffs in the Southern Division. The 5th place from the Northern Division will slide down into the Southern Division to make it 4 and 4. So you have 2 semifinal games, then a final game, and then a Grey Cup game.
Garza throws incomplete out there for Johnstone. So it is possible that 2 Canadian teams could meet in the Grey Cup, but not likely.
Well, not likely because you're probably having, as you say, the 5th place team in the standings come from the north down to the south and play. Let's take a good look here, just one quick minute at Sammy Garza. Little pressure again, had to hurry the throw, and he's throwing the ball. It's a 2-yard out. You know, that's not going to make any kind of yardage, and good coverage again.
It's Reggie Maribel who gave him the little love tap there. 2nd and 10. Garza launches it out here for Holland. He had it and dropped it, and it's incomplete. And a hit from Junior Thurman to make sure.
One of the first and second passes that we've seen thrown at Holland's direction through the course of this game.
And Bob Cameron back out on the field. How many miles did you say he has punted the football? Do you remember that?
This is how Bob Cameron has gone. Now, Bob Cameron is 40 years old. This is his 16th season. He has kicked the ball 89,951 yards, which is over 51 miles.
51 miles worth of punting yards. There's Del Morris returning the ball almost to the 50.
Huh? So the only thing really optimistic is if I'm Scott Player and I'm looking on the other side and I'm a rookie just breaking into this league, I'm going to think, I better buy a house or something. I may be here for a long time if you can be a punter in this league for that long.
Man. Make it probably as many times as he's had to punt tonight with the Winnipeg offense sputtering. He may be up there around the 52-mile mark before too long. 1st and 10, Barracudas. They're on their own 49-yard line. They are leading 31-4. They have dominated this game, which has about 12 minutes left in it. Jimmy Klingler is the quarterback. They go to the running game, and that is Moffitt to about the 46, or I'm sorry, to the 54. I knew I was going to think the 50-yard line was midfield before the game was over, and it finally caught me.
It does. Well, you can imagine people that may be looking at this game and just turn on the TV, go 50 and 50 and that C in the middle. What is that standing for? Hurry up, offense.
2nd and 6. And that ball looked like he was possibly trying to throw that one away.
I think that's exactly what. He made a really wise decision. Receivers were coverage, and all he did was make it look close so he wouldn't get intentional grounding. And you can see as he runs off, there's just a little hobble in his gait a bit, where it could be an ankle or it could be a knee that's bothering him a little bit.
You'll see he'll drop this ball in between 2 receivers without any real hope of completing it. And if indeed he was just trying to throw it away, that's a pretty smart play right there.
The only guy close was Delitas Morris.
So the Cudas to punt. Again, Player back on his own 39, probably working on his first mile of punting yardage. Just negligible pressure and a good kick that Boyko's going to take on the 12. Well, he came close to breaking something there. Really the first time that a Winnipeg punt return looked like it was going to materialize into something.
And if you notice something, it was the positioning of the punt, too. It was the first time that the punt had kind of wandered in between the numbers and the hash mark, and that allowed Boyko to catch the ball, come up the hash mark, as you see, and then make a break. He had been kicking it from the numbers on the side to the sideline, which gave a smaller area for the coverage team to get down and have to cover. That way, and the way he punted it there, they had to spread out across the whole field.
You see Sammy Garza back in at quarterback. He is the son-in-law of Winnipeg head coach Cal Murphy. He started this game, was ineffective, and has come back in the 4th quarter to replace the injured Steve Ballure. They dump it quickly over the middle to Wetmore. He's up to about the 37. Birmingham tackled by Jimmy Reed. John Jenkins, the fellow in the blonde hair in the middle of that shot on the sideline that you saw a moment ago. Wetmore, a big old guy, and Danny and I talked about the fact that he's not going to run around you. He's going to run north and south and try to leave a cleat mark on your chest.
6'2", about 230. Doesn't get an opportunity to play very much because he is the backup situation. So when he gets in there, he wants to show his wares and maybe show Coach Murphy that he deserves a chance to play a little more.
2nd down and 6. Down the sideline to Jamie Holland, and a fine catch for the first down. Holland had to adjust a little bit to that ball and really made a fine grab.
Kind of a quick out and up. You can see the pump fake right here. Boom, and then all of a sudden, Junior Thurman bites a little bit, but he thinks he's got help over top. And with the halfback coming there, that would be Andre Strode. Strode's a little slow getting there, but it's a perfectly thrown pass. And that's one of the very few optimistic things that have happened to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers this game.
Eric Mitchell comes wide and is dragged down after about a 6-yard gain by Strode. So Winnipeg mixing it up. They haven't given up in this game, but with the clock getting down under the 10-minute mark now and a 27-point deficit to make up, they've got to start coming up with some big plays.
Well, I think, and that's exactly this Birmingham team will let them make all that little nickel and dime stuff that they want to. Flag down on the play, but just don't give up the big home run ball and allow anything to happen quickly and get this Winnipeg team back into this football game.
And that was Greg Newhouse's strategy from the start. Greg, the defensive coordinator for the Barracudas, he did not plan a lot of blitzing and a lot of massive approaching the quarterback. He was just going to sit back and make Winnipeg beat them all the way down the field.
Greg Newhouse, a very innovative and imaginative coach. There's a good look at Matt Dunigan for the first time without the helmet on.
Holding penalty against Winnipeg takes it back to the 51-yard line of Birmingham.
I got to know Greg Newhouse quite a bit when he was a defensive line coach in Edmonton for a couple of years. Matter of fact, in 1993, when they won the Grey Cup, and one of the promises he made to his defensive squad was if we won the Grey Cup, he'd shave his head. So the boys, right after the game, they put the razor to him.
You got to have a picture of that somewhere.
We're going to find it.
Garza taking the heat, and he goes down as Snipes gets him. Little help from Reggie Maribel. Back around the 54-yard line. And Matt Dunigan just talking it over and kind of trying to experience this game through the eyes of some of the guys that are playing. That's Ledbetter he's talking to there.
He's been there. I mean, Matt's been around for a long time, and he's a great individual. This is his 13th season. Matter of fact, this shows how long ago he's been around. When he came into this league in 1983, it was my next to last year at the Edmonton Eskimos. So I had the opportunity to see this young fella as a rookie, and he has really done himself proud.
Del Morris with no place to go back on about the Birmingham 13-yard line. Barracudas football when we come back. Timeout with a score, 31-4. A look at part of the crowd of 25 to 30,000 here at Winnipeg Stadium. Many of them up in the aisle and heading for the exits. Nobody expected this kind of game.
If you take a look at this, and I've been in Winnipeg Stadium since 1975 when I started playing in this league, and I haven't seen anybody give a mass exodus like we're just seeing right now. And it's due to the Birmingham team and how well that they have really shut down every phase that Winnipeg came at them.
Well, Dancing Gabe has still got the spirit going there. A little plug for Warren's Corner Sports down there. When in Winnipeg, shop at Warren's Corner Sports. Dancing Gabe hasn't had a lot to dance about. Here's a guy that has, Jimmy Klingler. 1st and 10 Birmingham. Cudas on their own 15-yard line. 31-4 Birmingham. We have 8:36 to play. Inside shuffle pass to Moffett and a short gain to about the 20. Lyles again on the tackle. There's John Moten getting stretched out a little bit.
Well, just to give you an idea, that offense has done their job as far as staying on the field, getting some possession drives, making some first downs. Those defensive guys now have to re-stretch themselves to get ready to go back in if they have to.
They don't mind that. They felt like they spent the whole game on the field against Miami last week. Here's the little pass to Moffett. Got some running room. Out of bounds at the 27-yard line. That's close to first down territory. Paul Randolph on the stop. And officials are calling for the chains. Close enough to measure. Moffett again out of that University of Houston corral. John Jenkins coached there, so did Jack Pardee.
Quick toss to it, that's the key to this thing. Get the ball to him quickly. You're in a foot race, one-on-one with the linebacker, and that running back should have the advantage. Paul Randolph showing some great speed and great pursuit, but I think he could be just a little short.
John Jenkins orchestrating the offense. And he hopes to get a first down here so he can do a little more orchestrating. Oh, my, that's close. First down. Back to the playbook for the Barracuda coaches.
In the middle of your screen, that's Dan Brown. He's the defensive line coach. He's been putting on some miles up and down that sideline. Talking to everybody that comes off that field. He's got something to say. He's really involved with this thing. And you can just see the intensity on the coach. They're not letting down. And when the players see the coaches that excited about it, when they go on the field, they're pumped. They're ready to go.
Clock down to 7:43. It's a first down play. Looked like a mishandling of the snap, and Klingler covers it.
Does a good job, just falls right down on it, doesn't try to pick it up or anything.
You can see the Winnipeg players just wondering what hit them tonight. They were heavily favored going in. They were heavily favored against Ottawa a week ago, lost by 10, just wondering what is going wrong.
K.D. Williams, the face that you're looking at. Again, Dan Brown, and there's some face of intensity on there. Second and long, this is the situation that Winnipeg likes to get after. Jimmy Klingler.
Klingler throwing long downfield, and it is intercepted. Duran Bolden is at the Winnipeg 43-yard line, and he's going to dance it up a little because heaven knows there hasn't been much to dance about tonight.
There really hasn't, and this is a time when Klingler comes out to his left. He's going to sprint out, he's inside handoff. He's able to break the containment if he can, and then he just throws it deep. He doesn't have any ability to get any steam on it.
Timeout on the field with Birmingham leading 31-4.
The field is 110 yards long. 3 downs make a first, not 4. 12 players on the field, up to 5 men in motion. Legion Field in Birmingham will now host a professional sport that can be described in 3 words: longer, wider, faster. The Birmingham Barracudas. Home opener July 15th, 7 p.m. Ticket information 5584 CFL.
And here's the replay of this play. See, he fakes the inside handoff. He gets around. He breaks containment. Now he's trying to throw the ball 40 yards downfield. He's not able to get his shoulders turned toward the line of scrimmage or get his feet planted where he can add a little zip on this ball. And that's why Bolden had an opportunity to come underneath that and come up with the interception. The only thing that's happened very positive for the Winnipeg defense tonight.
Pass was intended for Jason Phillips, who turned a screen pass into an 85-yard touchdown in the first quarter of this football game. First and 10 Bombers. They're on their own 43-yard line. We're down to 6:47 in the game, and Birmingham leads 31-4. Ken Lass and Danny Kepley delighted to be bringing you the action from beautiful Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. Over the middle to Gerald Alphen, first down. Bumped out of bounds by Fernando Thomas across midfield. And again, the Barracuda secondary keeping everything in front of them.
That's exactly. Play it deep, make them throw it inside and in front of you. But then you get just a slight little glimpse of what a great athlete this guy is. Bringing it in, catches the underpass. Now look at the acceleration. Boom. The speed that he's going to turn on. He turns the corner. He hasn't had an opportunity to do very much tonight, but when he does, he tries to make something big happen.
Winnipeg first down. Mascots are almost cheering to themselves down there. The crowd has thinned out a lot. Eric Mitchell to the 46.
Well, unfortunately for Winnipeg, between the mascots and the dog show and the races that we had at halftime, that's been the most exciting thing that they've had to happen in this football game.
Tell you, the dog races were a hoot at the half. It's an interesting concept.
You can see with John Moulton, he's got a wrap just around on his right ankle and knee, right behind where the hamstring attaches at the lower knee level.
2nd and 5, pass out there caught by Boyko at the 40-yard line, close to a first down, and appears to have enough yardage. Again, Winnipeg totally unable to make the big play downfield, having to settle for the short stuff, and Birmingham able to keep them from getting deep.
All the motion, all the backs going to one side, 2 receivers on the backside, the inside slot just with the quick out. But Birmingham is very contented to just give up a 2 or 3 yard gain.
First down Bombers. Garza going for it all. Incomplete. Drawhorn down there, and Fernando Thomas as well. Protecting the ball away from Wilcox. No, that's Sean Collins. Well, the crowd cheered as though he caught the football. Let's see how good a shot he had at it.
Sprint, throw back. It's just a go pattern. You're just going to air it out, have the receiver run underneath it. Good coverage that time, but Eddie Davis gets caught a little bit inside, but what he does, he makes up for it. Once he gets to the point of attack, strips the ball away from Sean Collins.
Good defensive play. 2nd down and 10 from the 39. the run. Wide open, Alan Boyko. Down to the 8-yard line, and Boyko had nobody within about 10 yards of him. One of the very few times Winnipeg has been able to throw the ball downfield.
Winnipeg is not going to lay down and die. This is a veteran ball club. Eric Mitchell does an excellent job of coming back and making a good block on Shante Peoples. Peoples showing some great athleticism of getting over the block. But Sammy Garza is able to get his shoulders turned just ever so slightly, gets a little zip on the ball, and able to connect with a reception to Alan Boyko.
Junior Thurman, who was actually covering a different man back there, wound up making the tackle, but not before the ball is down on about the 9-yard line of the Barracudas. And there's Shante Peoples getting up gingerly, and boy, there's a guy you don't want to see hurt after the kind of night he's had.
That's the guy that early in the morning, all he did was just pack a big lunch and says, I'm going to go to work today. And boy, did he ever. He has been a load the whole game long and just created fits for this Winnipeg offensive line.
As we were saying, possibly a little bit in the coach's doghouse after missing the charter plane here, had to fly commercially to Winnipeg. And that's a job in itself. You got to change planes about 3 times. But it must have made him angry enough to really come out and play tonight.
Either angry or he's scared to death, and he's looking for a little to reassure that job security that he may be going on to Hamilton for next week's game. And at this rate, you'd hate to leave him off the plane.
First and goal from the 9. Garza wide open, and he dropped the ball. Gerald Alphen. Oh, my. Well, Gerald Alphen had the 6 points on the board, and just too easy, I guess.
If you've been in the Canadian Football League as long as I have, and the people back in Birmingham, they won't know what they just saw, because it's almost like a miracle to see a guy like Gerald Alphen drop a pass that wide open.
You'll see Garza with all kinds of time.
Coverage in the secondary. The pass was way too easy, and he just lost his concentration ever so slightly. As I said earlier, he had 73 catches for 994 yards last year.
Not a slouch. Second and goal. Tossed out here to Alphen again. They go right back to him, and he's down to the 3, and now you've got a 3rd down play, a do or die. Interesting that they would go right back to it.
Well, I think that's important, and that shows a lot of good sense with Sammy Garza. You got one of your receivers down, he's feeling down on himself, and all of a sudden he comes back to the play, and you're going to call his number again. He doesn't have time to really start thinking about the pass before. Now he's got to worry about the pattern, and he builds up his confidence again.
Winnipeg must score a touchdown, or they lose possession of the football. Garza throws. It is touchdown. Boyko caught the ball. Finally, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers are on the scoreboard. It is 31-10.
You know, really, in essence, in all reality, this game may be out of reach right now with 3 minutes and 16 seconds to go. Just a quick out pattern. Sammy Garza does an excellent job of throwing the ball on the line. Defensive back just didn't pick up the ball quite quick enough.
Eddie Davis on the coverage, but
Alan Boyko was able to come up with a good reception with concentration.
Yeah, Davis was all over him. Going for the 2 as Winnipeg tries to make up the deficit as quickly as they can. We're down to 3 minutes and 8 seconds to play.
But as I was just saying, just to finish that thought, that this game may be out of reach, but they've got to start building for next week and building on some positive things for their competition that they're getting ready in the next week's game.
Garza fumbles the ball, and the Barracudas are all over it, and obviously the extra point attempt is going to be no good. So it stays 31-10, and we'll be right back. The Birmingham Barracudas are headed home after a Saturday game against Hamilton. Saturday night, July 15th, they open at Legion Field against that same Hamilton team. 3 Saturday night home games in a row. And folks, this team is going to be fun to watch. Don't be deceived by the preseason record. It's the regular season now, and as you can see, it's a whole new ball game.
I did a broadcast game last week for another expansion team, Calgary and Memphis. And Memphis went up to Calgary, who was quarterbacked by Doug Flutie, who everybody will know in the States also. And Memphis gave Calgary all they could handle. Calgary is very lucky to come out with a 7-point victory. For these franchise teams are not new rookie teams. These are guys that just happen to be first-year teams, but they are surrounded on their roster by a lot of veteran players, and this is going to be an exciting football team to watch through the course of this season, the Birmingham Barracudas.
Troy Westwood with the kick, and here comes Drawhorn, picks his way up to about the 40-yard line.
Birmingham had their hands team out there expecting an onside kick. 11 guys across the line in 2 different rows. One guy deep. Anthony Drawhorn was the guy. Made no mistake on fielding that punt. I mean, that kickoff, and all he had to do was get it down, not trying to pick up a lot of yardage, just turn it over and let the quarterback take over.
Clock down at 2:47. Jimmy Klingler quarterbacked the entire first half and all of the fourth quarter. Reggie Slack spelled him in the third. Matt Dunigan not ready to go tonight. May be ready to go Saturday against Hamilton. First down, Birmingham. Screen pass to Moffitt. Nothing in front of him, and he's out of bounds after about a yard or two. Moffitt getting a good look in this second half as Willie McClendon, who played the entire first half at that spot, takes a break.
They're going to fake the inside trap play again. They've been dumping it off every now and then with that trap, but this time they just flood out to the flats. Moffitt dumped the ball to him, but you can see good pursuit by the Winnipeg defense. And Moffitt says, I'll just take a couple of yards and we'll line it up second down.
It's not worth it.
Not hitting me tonight.
Kenny Burris was the guy that was there to make sure he went out of bounds. Quick flip out here is caught. And to the middle of the field is Ted Long. He's got a first down, and they'll move the chains. Birmingham will continue to work that clock. We're under 3 minutes, which means the clock stops after every play.
Now at this point, since the reception was made and the ball carrier was thrown out of bounds, the clock will not start until the ball is snapped.
Otherwise, it starts at the placement of the ball, as you explained earlier.
Exactly. If the ball stays in bounds, the ref will spot the ball. He'll get up on the line of scrimmage, and then the ref will blow the time in.
First down play. Again, the quick flip out here. That's Long. He is close to another Birmingham first down inside the 45, and apparently has it as he goes to the 43.
Klingler's showing great patience right now. And I think he's really throwing the ball extremely well as far as take the snap, get it to the receiver quickly, and get it to him in. As long as you get it into his hands, he can turn his shoulders upfield and make something happen, deke a few guys, pick up a few extra yards. More importantly, they're keeping possession of the football, picking up the first downs, keeping the clock running now.
Jimmy Klingler once threw for 613 yards for the University of Houston against Rice in college. He can chuck it. Very little action on that play as Ted Long runs into Kenny Burris head on.
And all of a sudden, you got to, if you're Ted Long, you're going to come back and go, Jimmy, what have I done wrong to you? Why did you call that play?
Whose idea was it to call that
You're looking at it and throwing the ball. You're going to release the ball early when those defenders are coming right at me and looking at me. And now all of a sudden, somebody's going to give me the kiss right up underneath the chin.
Makes it 2nd and 12, ball on the 46. Got to get rid of it in a hurry. Does, and it is incomplete.
This is the exact same little hitch pass screen that they set up and they scored the 80-yard touchdown earlier on. Winnipeg was having nothing to do with this. Not quite as crisp at the end of the fourth quarter as they were in the middle of the first quarter.
Fortunately, it is 31-10, and there's just 1:46 to play. And Scott Player comes in to kick it away. Birmingham scored all their points in the first half. In the second half, they have, for the most part, played it safe. They have not killed themselves. They have made Winnipeg try to come back and get them, and the Bombers have not been able to do it.
I've been very impressed with the discipline that this team has showed today. Not taking too many cheap penalties. They took a couple of bad penalties, some bad blocks, a couple of piling on, but they were very fortunate that they did not hurt themselves. They didn't beat themselves tonight.
That ball's got to go out of the end zone or be downed, and it is down. So Boyko downs it. That is a rouge. It's 1 point for Birmingham. Remember, if you do not return a punt out of the end zone, or if the ball lands in the end zone and rolls over the end line, that is a rouge. It's 1 point. So the score is now 32-10.
Tell you a quick story about the first time that we started this, and last year when we were doing some broadcasting, and we were talking to some people down in the Sacramento area, which is now San Antonio, and we're doing it again. The guy said, "Don't you know what a ruse is?" He says, "Of course I know what a ruse is, stupid. It's French for red." so at this point, so if it ever gets confusing, a rouge and a single are the same thing.
First and 10 at the 35, and Sammy Garza's got all kind of trouble back there, and he's going to go down. Snipes is there. And a little victory dance for Donovan Gans. And we're down to 128, and the Barracudas on the verge of winning the first regular season game in their history.
Very impressive defensive outing tonight. They won the game in all phases. At the front of the line of attack, the point of attack, their linebackers were extremely active, and you just can't say enough about the guys in the back end that come up with 2 big interceptions, turn them over for major scores.
Second down and 19. Not much in the playbook for this. They throw short out here to Mitchell, trying to make something happen and cannot. And Winnipeg is apparently going to be content to kick the ball away. Want to wish a very, very speedy recovery to Alabama offensive lineman Kareem McNeil. Kareem was in an automobile accident, was originally in critical condition, but we're very happy to learn that his condition has been upgraded. And we certainly want Kareem and all of his family to know that our thoughts and prayers are with him, and hopes he gets well soon. The punt by Cameron is short, and it's going to spin out of bounds just across midfield. Birmingham takes over on the 54. We're under the 1-minute mark, down to 54 seconds.
Now, the one thing that the people on the screen will be kind of amazed at is the fact is how long this 54 seconds is going to last in the Canadian Football League. It is not like the NFL in some senses where if it was 54 seconds, there would be people walking off the field right now.
You don't take a knee right here because it doesn't do you much good. Ledbetter on the sideline along with Angelo Snipes. Both those guys have played outstanding games.
Both of those guys were singled out by Coach Pardee today as leaders on this very young ball club.
Jimmy Klingler on first down, throwing the ball into a bunch of folks. It was intended for Ted Long, who was seated on the field at the time the ball sailed over his head. We're down to 50 seconds. Again, some of the fans watching at home, they say, well, why don't they just run the ball up the middle and run down the clock? Well, you can't run down the clock. It stops after every play. Jimmy Klingler limping noticeably. He took a hard beating in the first half. Several very tough shots, most of them from Del Lyles. This is a second down play, and there goes Donald Moffett. He has one man to beat. And they get him at the 3-yard line. It was Shannon Garrett who chased him down from behind. But Donald Moffett gets himself on the highlight reel.
What a tremendous effort by that young running back. And late in the fourth quarter, he's worked hard the past third and fourth quarter. And all of a sudden, he's going to get the opportunity. Everybody's up on the line of scrimmage. It's just a straight dive play. All he does is find one little seam, shows a great burst of speed, gets a good block off the right-hand side by Roosevelt Patterson and Chris Dyko. Then he turns on the speed. And it's a foot race to the goal line.
First and goal from the 3 to the corner. Touchdown! Derek Crawford. And what better way to cap it off? 21 seconds to play, and it's 38-10. Derek Crawford played in the USFL for the Memphis Showboats. Memphis is his hometown. He's looking forward to playing the Mad Dogs, another expansion team in the CFL this year. And he puts himself in the stat book with a 3-yard touchdown reception.
He really is. He's in the record book at Memphis. Ranks number 5 at all time at 17.7 yards of reception in his second year when he received yardage of 1,117 yards.
The snap fumbled by Reggie Slack, and he's going to eat it. Fortunately, that does not come at a crucial time, and the score remains 38-10 with 21 ticks of the clock remaining. And a crowd of about 25 to 30,000 at Winnipeg Stadium has dwindled to just a handful and a disappointed throng at that. But Barracuda fans back in Alabama have every reason to be excited about their brand new team.
Now, Ken, if I understand correctly, Birmingham's going to stay here in Winnipeg, practice
Correct.
here in Winnipeg for until Friday, and then get on a plane, go to Hamilton, and have a game.
For those of you that are a little unfamiliar with the geography of Canada, Winnipeg is located almost directly north of North Dakota on the map, and Hamilton is east of here, about a 2-hour flight, you would say.
About a 2-hour flight. And if you've got a good tailwind with you, maybe about an hour and a half flight. But I can tell you right now, their little vacation in Winnipeg is going to be much more exciting for them and much more appealing after this great victory for the Birmingham team tonight.
Then on July 15th, it's home to Legion Field, their home opener, against the very same Hamilton team. And ticket information is available by calling 558-4CFL.
Well, I can sure express one thing as an old player and a retired player. There's nothing like coming home to a full house. So if the people can come out and really support this team, it's nothing like playing in front of a big crowd.
This team has not had the opportunity to play on its home field as yet. They played both of their exhibition games in other towns. Of course, they're opening on the road here at Winnipeg, and they play at Hamilton on Saturday.
Kenny, if I understand correctly, Legion Field holds about 80,000.
Yes, they do.
So that's a pretty big crowd.
Yeah,
it'd be nice if you got that.
That's setting a pretty good goal.
Yeah.
Trying to get a handle on the football for Winnipeg is Darius Watson. He finally gathers it up and then takes a bite of the rug on about the 23-yard line. We're down to 14 seconds to play. The Barracudas are going to go 1-0. And there were not a lot of people that expected that coming in.
Well, in the first 2 weeks of the season right now, the Barracudas, and I better check my records to make sure, are the first U.S.-based team to beat a Canadian team.
Baltimore went all the way to the Grey Cup last year in their first year, but they did not beat a Canadian team in their first game against them.
And as far as the 1995 season, they registered the first victory for the Southern Conference.
Sammy Garza at quarterback. The draw play to Mitchell. Barracudas playing deep. More than content to let Mitchell turn up about 12 or 13 yards. We're down to 8 seconds to play.
That's it. Now the clock again, like we say, is stopped now. They'll line up on the ball. The ref will blow the clock in as he has. Now it's down to 0.
The clock has run down. They must run one play, remember. This is the final play of the game if there is no penalty. And Sammy Garza says, let's just get this thing over with and go to the locker room. And the Birmingham Barracudas are winners by a score of 38-10. Look out, Alabama. They're coming home on July 15th. We'll be back to wrap it up after this timeout.